Call our December Board of Aldermen meeting for the town of Black Mountain. This time I'd like to extend a welcome to each of you. Also, please turn off your telephones, your beepers. This time I'd like for us to stand and do a pledge of allegiance and remain standing for our invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, may everything we do begin with you and continue with your help and be done under your guidance. In your mercy, guide and assist our efforts to promote the dignity of life, both born and unborn. And we ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Please be seated. The agenda has been modified in some places, which I'll tell you at this time. There is now a C under unfinished business, which was moved from 9 new business, was moved to C on unfinished business. Also, under C, 7C, that's been deleted. Our auditors could not be here tonight. I also would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the outstanding parade we had and also the weather that they demanded we have. It just turned out extremely well, I thought. Also, for those of you who do not know, the young man named Taylor Buell, I believe Logan Buell, that lives over on Craggy Street. I would encourage every one of you to go by this guy's house. He's got the most fantastic Christmas decoration of anybody I have ever seen. And Craggy Street is off Craigmont Road. But this guy's an electronic genius, and he's got lights in his trees, and it looks like snow falling through. And hopefully it's created a traffic jam over there for him, because this guy's gone to a lot of work to do this. And he comes out with the Santa hat on and gives candy canes to kids. So we really appreciate him and what he's done. I would encourage you to go by and see it. We do have a proclamation this week, thanks to Bob Gunn. Human Rights Week, December 10th through the 16th, 2011, whereas the member states of the United Nations signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10th, 1948. And whereas we must, as individuals and as people, take a stand and continue to work together to make freedom, justice, and equal opportunity available for all. And whereas it has long been recognized by the people of our great nation that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas our Bill of Rights guarantees these basic liberties. Now therefore I, Carl Bartley, Mayor of the town of Black Mountain, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 16th, 2011 as Human Rights Week in the town of Black Mountain. Under our unfinished business, we have the adoption of minutes. You want to address that, Marcy? Do you want me to take care of it since you're... Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, is there a motion that we take them as presented?
I move it to be adopted.
Any discussion?
I have a correction on November 14th, the agenda meeting. I don't think I was present for that meeting, but it has down that I adjourned the meeting.
Okay. With that correction, is there any others? With that correction, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is the ordinance adoption. Do you want me to handle it? Do you want to handle it?
I can do that. This is just adopting and enacting a recodified edition of the town's Code of Ordinances. We're just switching from a publisher, American Legal Publishing, to MuniCode Corporation. It does not change any laws. It simply is going to a new edition, and as soon as this is approved, we will be able to put this online. It will be an indexed, searchable opportunity to get to any of the codes and ordinances of the town. So we're appreciative of our town clerk, Darlene Wisnett, who has completed the work on this, and for all of you all who started this process a couple of years ago.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt? Have a motion to adopt, same. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business?
The next item is moved from 9 on the agenda. This is approval of 5-year operating lease for maintenance equipment for the Black Mountain Golf Course, as previously approved in the 2012 operating budget. I'd like to ask Brian Loveday of Billy Kesper Golf and Brent Miller to come forward to present proposals. We've received 3 proposals for maintenance equipment lease. Oh, and John, sorry, I didn't know John was here.
He's the biggest one of all.
Mayor, Alderman, thank you for having us. What we got here, we've got 3 quotes from Tri-State Pump and Control, which is Jacobson, Greenville Turf and Tractor from Piedmont, South Carolina, John Deere, and Smith Turf and Irrigation, Charlotte, North Carolina, Toro. The total lease for the Jacobson, it's a 5-year operating lease. Totals $245,108. Greenville Turf and Tractor, John Deere, came in at $247,687. And Toro Equipment, Smith Turf and Irrigation, came in at $256,504. So what we were kind of suggesting is we have no allegiance to any 3 of these. We use them nationwide equally. We tend to gravitate toward the lower end, being that these 3 companies are basically the top 3 in the country, so we use them quite regularly. So I guess we'd leave it up to you to make a decision on which way we go with this.
I just want to ask a question on the Smith Turf and Irrigation, Charlotte, the Toro, and those are the ones that we've been using for several years, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and that we've got several thousands of dollars worth of parts that we have from the Toro machines.
Yes, sir. We have interchangeable greensmower reels that are actually owned by the town of Black Mountain, and also a set of verticutting reels that fit the new models too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So. And then the service that we've gotten from those folks when let's say we've had a machine down that we couldn't get going.
Been good, very good.
There's about a, what, $1,500 difference in the cost?
Looks like it's 11,000 is the total over the 5-year period, 245 to 256 from Toro to Jake. But the monthly is about $245.
John, Brent, do you have any problem with the low bidder here?
No problem.
Do you have a problem? And it's low. It's not with what you've used, but would you see any disadvantage to going with this company?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Brent, how about you?
I mean, I'm not operating the equipment, but, you know, I don't see a disadvantage to it. So there's really no allegiance to any of them.
Any one or the other?
Yeah, there's no allegiance to any of the 3. It's just the low price. We figured we'd roll the extra money into the golf course itself. Was our thinking.
So at a time when we were really talking about budgetary restraints and what have you, going by the lowest possible bid is probably the best thing to do when we start looking at the dollar.
If you're looking at the dollar, that would be the way to go, yes, and you could roll the money right back into the golf course, the turf grass itself.
Now, the extra parts that you just talked about, John, is there a way to sell those to other golf courses that might use those?
Possibly. Those reels they're older reels that were on our mowers that we had prior to the last lease, which now those reels would be 15 years old now. Jerry, that works for us as a mechanic, he does an outstanding job keeping that stuff up, but it's still old. I mean, they're old design reels. They still work fine, but as far as I couldn't put a value on how much those would be worth if we tried to sell them. And some of the parts, the other parts that we have parts bins. We don't have a whole lot of stuff in stock. But we do have some bearings and bed knives and such that you have to keep that stuff running. But now I don't know that you could really sell that stuff. I could certainly look into that. But
Never know what you can sell on
That's
government surplus or on eBay.
Do you, will you have to buy replacements for these reels with this new equipment?
yes, sir. That each of the lease agreements do have a warranty, and most of the stuff that's on that warranty aren't wear items, and the things that we have, bearings, tires, bed knives, which is actually what makes contact with the reel, rotary blades, any of that stuff is our responsibility to replace, and that's what we do have in stock now. But we will have to do that on any of the new leases too. So,
Idea of what that would cost when that time comes?
I haven't looked at any of the replacement parts on the other two, but I mean, I can just, we've ordered so much of that stuff from Toro, a new bed knife, which we have to have 3 of those on each of the greens mowers. There's 7 of them on fairway mowers, and they're, depending on how big of the machine, anywhere from $25 to about $40 a piece, and we probably have enough to do 5-6 sets of reels right now. So, but there is cheaper routes of going through. We do use generic, for lack of better terms. There's aftermarket parts that are a little bit cheaper that we sometimes use too and you can get those for all the mowers. So, and they're pretty comparable in price. So
you'll be needing to buy these for Jacobson as time goes on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept that we accept it as proposed.
Motion that accept the Jacobson bid. In discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Next is recognition of service of retiring aldermen. Mr. Brandon, you're up first, I believe.
Are we going to do it down front?
Yeah, let's go down front.
Yeah, let's go down front. Because I'm going to be speaking from the podium in a second anyway.
Turn that mic on.
Presented to Ruth Brandon in recognition of outstanding service, dedication, and leadership to the citizens of Black Mountain, North Carolina as Alderman, 7 terms, 16 years of service from 1975 to 2011 by the Board of Aldermen, Town of Black Mountain, was 12th day of December, 2011.
Thank you. Get you to shut up, so I'll say thank you. I don't know, should I wait until Joan is recognized before I thank the voters?
Go right ahead.
Well, I don't want to mess up this pretty plaque. That's beautiful, thank you. Oh, let me see my notes. Now I would like to know if you can hear me, because I am told every meeting that you cannot hear me from the board table. So I want to be sure I get to a mic tonight where I can be heard. If my voice is raspy, and it is, it's because I'm still hoarse from standing in the cold and the wind on election day. Next election day, I plan to bring a heater. Did I just say next election? Surely I didn't say that. Because, well, jeepers, that's not very long, not very far away. It's only, next election day is less than 2 years away, when we'll be electing 2 aldermen and a new mayor. So be looking for me and my heater when I run for office again. Seriously, let me say that while no one likes to lose an election, someone has to lose, especially when there are 11 candidates running for 3 seats. But it has been worse. One election we had 20 candidates, 3 for mayor and 17 for alderman. That's the year, Carl, that I beat you by well over 100 votes for alderman, for which I have never been forgiven. So I need to say thank you to the citizens for allowing me to serve for 7 terms. It's truly been an honor. Just know that when I win an election, I win with integrity. And when I lose an election, I lose with my integrity intact. I have never, or will I ever, try to campaign at any other level. I frankly feel that my loss in the election is a loss to the citizens of Black Mountain for their conservative voice on the board. I need to say that our very fine town manager, Marcy O'Neill, has made my job easier because of her expertise, her guidance, her perseverance, and her even-handed way of giving every board member equal credit for jobs accomplished, which of course is the mark of true professionalism. Thank you, Marcy. Much credit is also due our staff. Many of them, I don't know how many of you are here tonight, but we appreciate all that you do. Marcy works well with them. They are a great team. Our public safety departments are unsurpassed. Thank you, Chief Jones and Chief Presley. All the other departments are doing well, providing town services. Everything's in good shape. You new board members are fortunate to have such a fine town manager to work with. I hope you will look to her for guidance because she is professionally trained for her position, and none of you are. At times, I'll say to the new board members, you will find the burden of doing what is best for all the citizens. There'll be almost more than you can handle. At least it's been that in my case. But I know you'll do a good job as you go through the learning process. I challenge all of you to be able to do what you believe is right, and not because you're beholden to anyone. I have never been beholden to anyone, and I hope that none of you will ever be. I again congratulate you, wish you well in your new job. If I can ever be of any help in any way, I hope you'll call on me. I'm in the phone book. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe and healthy 2012. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Next, Ms. Brown. Brown.
I have asked Carlos and Marcy to present this to me. These are 2 individuals who I highly respect, tremendously respect. And it is with great honor that I have asked them to present this plaque, this resolution, or whatever you want to call it, to me.
simply says, presented to Joan Brown in recognition of outstanding service, dedication, and leadership to the citizens of Black Mountain, North Carolina as Alderman, 4 terms, 12 years of service, 1999 to 2011, by the Board of Aldermen, Town of Black Mountain on this day, on this 12th day of December 2011.
Be said. The only thing that I would say, this town is a great town. It has a big place in all of our hearts. You wouldn't be here tonight if it didn't. There are things that have gone on in the past that I hope can be pushed aside, and a new year is beginning with 2 new individuals that I pray fervently that they will be their own man and woman, make their own decisions, and do what they feel is right for this town that we've been given to live in. I thank all of you for your support in the past. Over the years, I've had a great deal of support, and this election was quite a different election, and I hope and pray none of you ever have to go through a negative election in your life. Thank you.
This time we'll swear in the new board members. First will be Don Collins. Don's wife Pam, I believe, is going to hold the Bible. Come on up. Put your right hand on the Bible. Raise it up. When I get through this, I will. I, Don Collins, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States of America and of the state of North Carolina. That I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the town of Black Mountain, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as an alderman of the town of Black Mountain, North Carolina.
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don, you can't sit there anymore. You got to sit up here. I, Michael Sobel, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States of America and of the state of North Carolina, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the town of Black Mountain, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as alderman of the town of Black Mountain, North Carolina.
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I, Margaret Tuttle, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States of America and of the state of North Carolina, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the town of Black Mountain, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as alderman of the town of Black Mountain, North Carolina.
I will.
Congratulations. Chair will accept a motion for name to serve as mayor pro tem or vice mayor in the absence of incapacity of the mayor.
Mr.
like to
Mayor,
make
I
a
would
motion.
like to be recognized.
Mr. Sobel was first, but I'll get you next.
Okay, I would like to nominate Tim Rayburn for vice mayor.
Okay,
Well, he took
Mr.
my
Carter.
nomination.
sir?
He took my nomination.
Okay. Any other nominations? If not, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations. You want to adopt a schedule of the work sessions and regular sessions for 2012. I think in the agenda meeting, we agreed they would meet on Thursday on the agenda meetings, with the regular meeting being the second Monday in the month. And the agenda would be presented on Mondays, correct?
That's correct. The Thursday is at 5 p.m., preceding the second Monday at 6 p.m.
We did not clarify the time of that.
Do you want to adjust that? That's what was printed on the,
That's what was printed on the printout, but no, we can change
But
that.
I'm just saying, we need to clarify what time that meeting's gonna be on Thursday.
It's been 5 o'clock in the past. Do
Okay.
you want to keep it
That's
at that?
fine.
So, is that okay with the board? 5 o'clock?
Is that
5 o'clock on Thursday.
with Carlos's job, does that make any difference?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Then the regular meeting will be on Monday at 6.
Yeah.
I think it's a little early on adopting these special call meetings right now, so let's delay that unless someone, I know Dean's got a lot of work to do also before we start talking budget. The appointments to the various committees. I think the Chamber of Commerce is Carlos. The Entrepreneur Committee is the mayor. Land Sky Regional Council Board of Directors is the mayor and Margaret Tuttle. The French Broad MPO Transportation Advisory Committee is the mayor and Michael Sobel. The Buncombe County Metropolitan Sewerage District is Bob Watts. And the Flood Damage Reduction Task Force is Mary Leonard White. Any additions or corrections on this?
Town Square.
Town Square.
You mentioned Town Square.
And who was that?
Don Collins.
Ron Collins, yeah.
I believe you also identified an alternate for MSD board.
Yeah, the alternate from SD Board, Richard Hudson.
Yeah. Right. Is there a motion that at this time that all these be accepted?
So moved.
In discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. We now have citizen comments.
Do we need to do the town attorney?
Anyone who wanted to address the board tonight has signed up. We caution you to hold it to 3 minutes. We do have a sign that will give you warnings. The first one is Don Brannon, 181 Settings Boulevard. Don?
Since I am on the agenda, I will wait until that time.
Okay, great, thank you. Elaine Litzenheiser?
I'll hold mine till later. Thank you.
Marilyn? Sebastian?
Good evening, everyone. It's the holiday season, and so in many traditions, religious and otherwise, gift giving is a very familiar part. And with gifts often come all the things that they're stuffed in with. So it's very timely that Rainbow Recycling is having its 4th annual Styrofoam Recycling Collection. This year, it will be on Saturday, December 31st, that is New Year's Eve, but we're doing it early, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Amazing Savings parking lot. We are collecting styrofoam, white, sheet and molded, no tape, glue, grease, dust is okay, no dinnerware or carry-up boxes, and please bag small pieces. We are also collecting styrofoam peanuts and bubble wrap. Now those items can be taken year-round to the UPS store. We also know that there are some artisans and galleries who can make use of it too, so we will help distribute them. Just make sure they're clean and dry and bagged separately, the peanuts separate from the bubble wrap, etc. This is free to everyone. Just come on by, we'll help unload it. If there are any businesses that have exceptionally large quantities, please check with us. There may be a small fee. We do this as a community service. We don't earn any income from it, but we're happy to help out. So things that would just lie around endlessly in the landfill or elsewhere, so that doesn't happen. And reuse is very helpful to all individuals involved who can make good use of it. So once again, that's Saturday, December 31st, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Amazing Savings parking lot. In case of very bad weather, we'll have an alternate date in mid-January at our South Buncombe hard-to-recycle collection. We're awaiting confirmation of some details, so that will be put out in the newspaper and otherwise on flyers. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Roger Mikan. Maybe it's Miller. M-I-L-L-A-R. Blue Ridge Road. Roger. Richard Hudson.
My name's Richard Hudson, 106 Pleasant Drive. Almost 18 months ago, I came before the board to tell about the conditions out at the Black Mountain Golf Club. At that time, the conditions were not very good. Just poor greens, poor course management, just overall inferior product. Well, in the last 18 months, a lot of things have happened. Number one of my best friends got fired as a golf pro over there for a reason that I never have been able to understand. Number two, we got a management company in there now that's attempting to run the place. Anyway, there's been a lot of things go back and forth, but what I'm here today to tell this new board is nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the management. The golf I played Saturday week ago, and the greens I don't think have been mowed in 2 or 3 weeks. The cups have not been changed. The bunkers that were washed out from a rain probably 10 days prior to my playing had not been fixed, re-raked. The fairways, I hadn't seen a mower on them in 2 or 3 weeks. Little clumps of grass coming out everywhere. Just no real attempt that I can tell of any course maintenance going on whatsoever. And also, still don't have a place where we can go sit down and have a Coke, get something to eat. Most people now bring theirs with them. But anyway, it would be my advice to you for 2 of you to get in a car and ride to, I think it's Fairfax, Virginia, It's where Billy Casper is located. And see if there's some way that this management agreement just can't be tossed out the door. The only thing that I see has happened is we got a new computer system to make tea times with, and they've moved the pro shop down into a hole where the people that work over there can't even see what's going on. So I don't know that Billy Casper would want to have clients that I perceive there won't be very happy clients for the next 5 years. Maybe they will be, but as I perceive it now, I don't see it happening. But anyway, if I were y'all, I would try to figure out a way to get out of this contract. Thank you.
Next item is the approval of the master plan Village One Treat.
No, we're,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm over there in something else. Mary Sneed, annual report from the ABC Board.
I'm Mary Sneed, with Chairman of the ABC store. And I just want to give y'all a report of this last year. With the slow economy, the store is doing well. And we're holding our own as far as the percentage, in fact, with the state sales. In fact, last month we were 2% above the state. So we patted ourselves on the back for that. And we have 4 new restaurants that have permits now to sell liquor by the drink. And that does not include the Monte Vista. And this past year, we have cut our operating expenses, and we hope that we can do more this next year. And as mandated by the state, we had to replace our cash registers this past October. Do any of y'all have any questions?
Yes, I just, could you bring us up to date on the state investigation of the fraud at the ABC store?
No, we haven't. We haven't gotten anything on that yet.
So, no reports from the state?
No.
Nothing about the amount of money that would be returned?
Not exactly.
So you have heard nothing from them?
No. Until we get the money, we probably won't.
Okay, so there'll be no communication between this ABC board, between you and then the state fraud?
No.
We'll just simply get a check in the mail?
We'll get a check, yes.
Will we get a statement as to what their findings are?
Yes, we should.
Okay. When that occurs, would you please bring that to the board's attention?
Yes,
and
I will.
Tell us about it?
Yes.
And give us copies of that?
Yes, I'll be glad to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mary, what's y'all's fiscal year? Is it, you go with the calendar
from
year?
June.
Oh, so you're same as us?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we ask y'all to speak up a little or turn the mics up? None of us heard what this lady said or what she even represents. We can't hear anything back here.
Okay. Turn the sound up. Next is the update from settings. I believe Mr. Kennedy's going to do that. Turn it down, Will.
I'm Dick Kennedy. I've been before you several times. I live in the settings of Black Mountain at 43 Fates Overlook Loop.
Mr. Kennedy, could you pull the mic around a little more? We're really having a lot of trouble hearing back here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Speak again, please.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. I'll try to speak up. Don Brannon is also here, and you just raised your hand a few minutes ago. And do you want to speak first or after I'm done?
After you're done.
Okay. We want to give you an update on what's going on in the settings. I'll give you an outline of what we're going to say today. I want to give you an update on the status. We had a little bit of that last week, or last month at your meeting. That we've had some good events take place, and we want to make sure we bring those up. I want to talk about the infrastructure bonds and exactly what the details are of those bonds. Give you a background on the financial picture of the developer, and talk about the litigation against Bond Safeguard on behalf of other communities in the state that we're aware of, and the status of the claim here in Black Mountain for the settings. A few legal considerations we'll go through. The equities, that's the page, that's the what's in it for you guys part. And then we'll tell you exactly what we're asking you to consider for us tonight. In terms of the status of the settings, we, as you probably heard last month, or something, those of you who were here, we recently have had the control of the homeowners association transferred from the developer to the property owners. The developer's declarant rights terminated in October. We elected a new board. Don is the president of that board, and I'm the vice president. We, in probably an equally important event, transferred ownership of all of the common areas from the developer to the homeowners association. In order to achieve that, we had to pay the past due taxes that the developer had not paid. We didn't owe those taxes, but we paid them. We also had to pay the county for legal expenses that they had incurred in a foreclosure that they had already begun processing. We did get them to agree to settle for half of the fees and all of the hard costs that they had spent. We also had to pay an amount of money to T&K Utilities. They had a lien for work that they had done and not been paid by the developer for, and that lien covered the clubhouse and the other common areas. So before we could transfer them to our ownership, we had to pay that off. All of this coming from money that the homeowners had provided to the homeowners association. But we succeeded in getting that all done. We now own the clubhouse. We now own the front entrance area and all of the common areas. In addition, we paid the past due taxes and county legal fees again, and took over ownership of 110 acres of land that's up toward the top of the development that was put into a conservation easement at the beginning of the development. Our goal was to, again, the developer put it in the conservation easement, had not been paying the taxes. Our goal was to make sure that conservation easement is continued, and so we've taken ownership, and we are now substitute grantors of that easement. It's with the North American Land Trust. Our water system we have been limping along with for a long time. We have city water. We like our water a lot. But the automation in the system was never installed by the developer, and there's about a $30,000 project that we have to pay for to get that done, and we can't turn it over to the town for the town to operate until that's in place. We have a contract out to bury the cable that will support that system. We hope within the next couple of months to have that complete so that the water system automatically fills the tank to the right level, and we don't have to go and turn the pumps off and on manually. So that's another accomplishment we've got in place, and again, that we're paying for because the developer didn't pay for it. The roads, which are always a topic of a lot of discussion, Phase 1 roads had a base layer put on and not the top layer. And that base layer, we've just spent about $40,000 repairing that base layer, and those repairs wouldn't have needed to be done had the developer paved it shortly after they put the base layer on. But because we've been driving on the base layer for years, we had to put $40,000 worth of repairs into that. We did that. That work is underway. It's just about complete. We're also going to be paving just around the entrance, and that was all the money we had to put into roads. So we've done what we can with that right now. Phase 2 roads, as you probably know, are finished. Phase 2 is pretty complete. All we do with Phase 2 is repair as needed. But Phase 3, And again, those of you who've been on this board for a while know that Phase 3, there was one road that was finished at the expense of property owners on that road. But the remaining Phase 3 roads, about a mile of roads, have never been completed. They were cut in, but no infrastructure, no water, sewer, gas pipeline, any of that stuff has been put in. The estimate is that it'll take about $1.5 million to complete that, which is a little bit more than the bond will pay for, but not a lot. And there are, because those roads were carved in and not maintained, there are some erosion issues that the HOA will address and take care of. Let's comment that this is easily a viable community. That's never been in doubt in our minds, but I think a lot of the work that we've done here recently helps to reaffirm that to everybody else that might be looking at building or buying in that community. It's more than 80% complete. I can update that number. There are 15 houses complete and 2 under construction. Several possible housing starts in the next year. There has been a lot of interest expressed in building new homes there, but we didn't have any new home starts in 2011, which is probably the first year in a while that that's happened. We do expect that the recent progress we've made will trigger some new home building in 2012, and hopefully we'll have housing starts in the spring. We've had some feedback from people looking at building houses there that are saying they're holding back. Well, they had been holding back because of uncertainty over the fact that the developer was still in control and that the roads were breaking up and maintenance wasn't being done. Now that we're addressing some of those things, that helps a lot. There's still uncertainty over the remaining Phase 3 roads. What's going to become of those, and is that bond ever going to get collected? So that's still an issue, a potential issue. So let's talk about the bond. Or bonds. The bonds are provided by Bond Safeguard, which is the subsidiary of Lexon Bond Group. They're basically the same company. The obligee is Buncombe County. The Settings was not part of the town at the time the bond was put in place. The Settings of Black Mountain LLC is the developer that put the bond in place, and they're for the purpose of road, curb, gutter, sewer, water, and storm drainage. There are 4 bonds in the amounts shown here. The total there is about $1,450,000 for various phases. The biggest piece being the Phase 3 that hasn't been where no work has been done. Those are the current amounts of what's left in the bond. As the developer made progress back in the years when the developer was making progress, they went to the county, and the county would agree to reduce the amount of the bond based on that progress and the remaining work to be done. So the county, who has now kind of handed this ball off to you, has been operating all along as if they were managing this bond. The financial picture, this being the financial picture of the developer, basically there were 2 principals investing in that development company. Both of them have gone through personal bankruptcy, and now that declarant rights have expired for them, all of the properties they owned in the development have been foreclosed on. They're completely out of the picture. There are no resources there anywhere to do the rest of the development work if we don't address that issue between us and you. Other Settings developments have all been either foreclosed on or closed down and abandoned at this point. There were 3 other communities that this developer started, 1 more in North Carolina, and I think 1 in South Carolina, 1 in Georgia, I believe. The bonds are not covered by the North Carolina Guarantee Association, which does cover other forms of insurance. So the conclusions that we can draw here, and that we've talked with Mr. Sneed about, and as he agrees, and he came to this conclusion several months ago, that there was absolutely no way the developer's ever going to finish this, and therefore we have a good claim to go after the bond money. There's no other source of funds. Ron, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so speak up if you disagree, but I think we've all agreed that we now have the situation that we needed to have to go after the bonds. All right, nod your head. Am I right?
That's one way of putting it. Essentially, you have to when you go after the bond, the developer and any capability he has to be totally exhausted. And at the point where McWhorter, the individual, went bust, and he lost his assets that could have funded any further developments, then I felt we were at the point where we could make demand on the bond. And Candy worded that correct.
Good. Thank you. Let me talk a little bit about other suits against the same bond company for other communities in North Carolina that we know about. Rutherford County, Queens Gap, they filed a claim of $15 million against the same bond company for the completion of Queens Gap. Also in Rutherford County, Gray Rock, just a few weeks ago, made a settlement with this same bond company and collected and have been paid $15.25 million. Now, the total amount on that bond was $25 million, but they negotiated this settlement and they accepted it because they had engineering estimates that they could actually complete the roads for $15 million and take their legal expenses that they had paid off the top before they do that. So they expect to start in the spring and pave all the roads in Gray Rock with that money. Brunswick, the Avalon community in Brunswick County, has had sued for payment with the same bond company. Was awarded a settlement in court. The bond company appealed that, and the appeals court upheld it. And I've confirmed this, but they should have been paid based on the fact that that appeal was favorable to them. That should have been their final step in that case. And the town of Valdez, Lake Rhodus, which was another settings community, the town allocated funds for outside counsel a while back, and I think there was some news stories that circulated around that you may have seen at that time to that effect. They filed a complaint on May 10th to collect that money. The bond for the settings of Black Mountain, I picked a couple of dates out from the minutes, most of these meetings I was at. In October, and I have a typo in the last bullet there just to see if you guys are still paying attention. But in October of 2010, the Board of Aldermen authorized Mr. Sneed to go ahead and call the bond. Now, I think at that time you still had concerns that the developer was still in place and the bond company might still argue that that he could finish it. November, you may recall, we had a discussion about a moratorium on lots. I think we all reached an agreement quickly on that, on building. In May, Mr. Sneed announced that he felt we had the situation in place that we could call the bond, and you reinforced your instructions to him to go after the bond. In June, we came back to you and asked you to consider engaging the county in this discussion, and also to consider obtaining outside counsel to assist with the project. And at that time, you took that under consideration, but no action was taken. Some legal considerations with regard to this whole effort. The bond safeguard company's history is that they don't pay unless they're sued. It's not like going down to White Insurance and filing a claim and getting a check. You have to sue them to get money. The obligees of the contract have the standing to sue. That means that's the county, unless they have assigned the claim or the right to receive payment, or they have clearly waived the right or have some disability, which isn't the case with the county. So the county is an appropriate claimant. The physical location of the community being in the town of Black Mountain may give the town standing to be a co-claimant and a co-plaintiff. But the bonds don't contain an assignment clause, so there's no clause that says the county can assign it to you. So that's something we have to make sure we're clear on when we go forward. But the county should be involved in some way in this suit, being the obligee on the bond. One of the points here that has come out in our discussion in determining about who has standing to sue is that the HOA has no standing and can't sue. And in fact, in the case of Gray Rock, they tried to join in the suit and the judge basically threw them out. So there's a limit to what the HOA can do in this regard. It basically has to come down to you folks to deal with it. The equities part, and the reason I said this is the part of what's in it for you, the community pays a significant amount of taxes to the town and the county. And the potential is there for that number to increase greatly or possibly to decrease, depending on how things go. But if you look at the bottom number, this is based on, a couple of years ago, I pulled a file down of all of the properties in the settings, and one of the data elements in it was the tax assessed value, and I just added it up and calculated these numbers. So it's a couple of years old, and it's an approximation. But the total taxes annually paid, $569,000, and probably a little bit more than that. That means that this community pays almost $50,000 a month in taxes, and of that, about $20,000 comes to the town, and the other $30,000 goes to the county. And they've been paying that for years. And the community doesn't really ask of a lot, but we're here to ask of a lot tonight. So I just want to make sure we understand. We pay a lot of taxes. There's a potential there for that number to possibly double over the years. If we can keep things rolling and get more houses built, every house that's built out there adds to the tax base. And so we're asking for tonight, we're saying, is an investment. We're asking you to invest in this community because the potential there is there for everybody to benefit in the long haul. The bonds have enabled the town and the county to tax the settings lot owners as though the infrastructure had all been built. That's a key point. The existence of the bonds is the reason that you can tax all of the properties out there as though the roads are already in when the roads are not in. So when the settings property owners bought their lots, they paid for the roads, they paid for the clubhouse, they paid for the water and sewer connections or installations, all of those utilities they paid for, and they didn't get them. So now we're working at trying to make that right, because the reason they could sell the lots for those prices and the reason we could assess them at those numbers is because that bond was in place to guarantee the completion of the community. So it's important now that we are at this point that we make sure that actually happens. So we're estimating it would cost $100,000 to $150,000 to pursue this by way of outside counsel. And this is from experience from other communities. It could be less, particularly if we were to work with somebody who has done it before and doesn't have to discover a lot the first time around. But we think it's a good investment. If we did have to put that much in it, it's money that would come back. Well, first of all, if we collect anything at all, we would expect that you would take the expenses you've spent back right off the top before we spend anything on roads. So what we're asking for you to do is two things. We want you to direct the staff to arrange a meeting with the town attorney, the town manager, the county attorney, and the county manager, or their designate at least, to address the bond collection issue. We want to make sure that the county's role in this is clear and that we have a good knowledge of what's their appropriate place to play. And I think we ought to ask them to contribute financially as well. And if I were you, I would certainly do that. Secondly, we ask that you, and possibly in conjunction with the county, engage outside counsel, allocate at least $50,000 to get started with this, which may be enough, to obtain experienced outside counsel to pursue the bond with the understanding that total costs could go higher. And the community that I mentioned to you that just collected $15 million did use outside counsel to do that. In fact, all of the 4 communities that I showed on that slide that are currently engaged in trying to collect bond money, all of them are using outside counsel. Several of them are using the same outside counsel. I talked today to the county manager of Rutherford County, and he was extremely pleased with the result they got. You should be. They got a $15 million check. They would be happy to discuss with you, or he would be happy to discuss with you, his view on how that all went and how it should be done. But so this is what we're asking for. Now, there's one final point here I want to make, and that is there's been some concern and discussion. I think this same concern happened in Rutherford County, and he told me that their understanding was that that the money they had would go to building the roads in Gray Rock, and that if it came up short, the county would not be obligated to make up the difference. So the property owners would have to do that, and that the county would take their legal expenses off the top when that check was paid, which they've done. And we think the same agreement should be made here, and we will ask our board to commit themselves to agreeing ahead of time that that's the case. There won't be any argument later on about who's responsible if we only collect $1 million and we need another 400,000 or something. We're not going to come back and ask you for that money, but we are asking you to help us get the original bond payment paid. Questions?
Questions on the board?
What attorney did Roadhis use outside?
Rodas used, and I forgot to mention,
That'd be Walter Curry.
was that?
That would be Walter Curry.
And that's somebody from Asheville, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that Henry Judy helped me present this. He's in the next room, and he's available to help answer questions. He's a little more knowledgeable on the legal issues, or significantly more knowledgeable on the legal issues than I am. That's the only one of those four that didn't use the Parker Poe firm in Charlotte.
Looks to me, though, at this time, we don't have the legal authority to move forward unless we come to an agreement with the county. Is that true, Council?
I will tell you, and I'll tell you that David Gantz, if he's still here, might want to come back into the room. But how this has been, the discussions between me and the county attorney so far have been that they anticipate that we'll take the lead, and they know they may have to lend us their name in order to prosecute, to get this bond.
I think maybe
David
you and
got it?
I think maybe you and our town manager need to meet with them and the county manager and discuss a joint venture on this.
It would be nice if we could talk them out of money, you're correct.
I think so. Did Brandon want to speak?
Don, you want to just
I'm Don Brannon, president of the Settings Association, HOA, for this coming year. Mayor, Aldermen, thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you this evening. I'll be very brief. I just want to touch on the nature of the bonds that were called, or that are to be called. The county required that the bonds be called for the purpose of assuring that the development would indeed be finished. The people who purchased the bonds were actually the people who bought lots. The developer may have written the check, but in the final analysis, it was the lot owners who paid the money that allowed those bonds to occur. The lot purchasers did this gladly with the understanding that if in fact the developer did not finish the development so they could build their houses, that indeed the bonds would assure that the municipality, be it county or town, if so assigned, would indeed step in and provide them relief. That's why they paid for the bonds. That's why they could sign to purchase property in Black Mountain, even though the roads were not in at the time that they did so. So it is with this understanding that there is indeed a governance between the purchase of the property and the municipality, the governance, that we come here this evening, and the understanding that they now see a partnership in this governance. They see the town, county, as it's sorted out, having its responsibility to fulfill the obligation of fulfilling the purpose of the bonds, the intent of the bonds, and they see this as an endeavor whereby the partnership will be, we, as you have seen, will continue to put money into the development, not only to the benefit of the lot owners, the citizens of Black Mountain, and a great number of future citizens of Black Mountain. There were over 200 and some lots sold initially, and I have full expectations that those lots indeed will see houses on them one day. The understanding that we will do that, and with the governance, the town indeed will work with us and provide what we need now through the mechanism that was set up with the bonding. So we see this as a endeavor of a partnership. We will do whatever we need to do as an HOA to work with the town and the county, and we greatly appreciate the town and the county fulfilling its responsibility in this governance effort. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your future efforts to see this dream of Black Mountain and the settings fulfilled.
Thank you.
So, Ronnie, give us a timetable, what you'll be looking at then. That you would go see the county, come back to us, and...
Let me tell you where you are and where I've essentially it's been sliding, and I'll take the blame for that. As he said in May, your take that I told you that the developer was at a point where I thought we could call the bonds, and the bonding company couldn't say that there's some hope that the developer could pull this out of the hat. At that point, I wrote letters, and there are 4 bonds. 4 letters went out on the 4 different bonds, stating our intent to call the bonds. That's the first step. The next step is they respond, and they respond with a request for a burdensome amount of information. That I have to pass on to the county, because the county has 90% of that, and that's been the lag time. But the next step is provide that information and put them on the short road to respond on whether or not they're going to pay on the bonds, and then lawsuits filed. Timetable on that, probably from, say, I get with the county tomorrow and put this together, the request for information. At 60 days out, we're probably at the point where we can file the lawsuit, and that's an estimate. The catch to get along here, obviously, is we do in the law, and again, at this point, the insurance companies are dealing with me in fairly good faith, understanding that I'm the town, and my letter state I'm acting on behalf of the town and the county, because I talked to Mike Crew about this, county attorney. But the county would be the nominative plaintiff in that lawsuit, and it will take, as the folks said, some joinder or at least cooperation of the county. Whether or not we can talk them out of contributing to the cost, I don't know. That hasn't been discussed in detail. I've only talked with the county attorney's office, and they shut not. He didn't act like the county really wants to write a check, but that's not what it is. But if you could jump on it with both feet in about 60 days, we'd probably be in a position where we would get the inevitable, no, we're not going to pay the insurance company, and we'd be filing the suit. Couple of possibilities. Obviously, if the county will contribute to the legal fees, then they get some say in that also. If not, I assume this board has the full say on how you proceed. As you know now, as in June, the folks at the Homeowners Association, at least the ones who talked to you, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Brown, they would probably prefer that you go to a firm who's handled a handful of these, namely Parker Pope. The options of this board are numerous, but considering the county's position, either go completely to outside counsel. If you want to do that, I have no objection. You can continue to leave it with me and authorize me to employ counsel with some experience in the area, and I've already contacted an associate I've worked with before, worked against before, mentioned to you in the agenda meeting. Bill Cannon of Waynesville is happy and available should we want to go that route. But it's your choice, and again, you don't have to worry about my feelings or my pocketbook. Whichever looks best to this board on taking this on is fine with me.
Ron, has the county, I'm assuming they've not been told that they can recoup their attorney fees?
That discussion hasn't come up with the county. No, yeah. Until tonight, that's been the practice. There's nothing in the bond that says that we get paid off the top unless we should prove a bad faith claim where they had to pay our cost and attorney's fees in addition to the loss.
So how do we guarantee with the settings that that gets done?
The Homeowners Association, as I said, if they agree that we pull our legal fees and costs off the top and whatever's left is applied to the infrastructure, then you've got that base covered.
You think that'll make any difference with the county?
I don't know, should, obviously, but I don't know how they're set up with funds. The town has been rather conservative for a number of years and has a good fund balance, and I don't know what the county's fund balance condition is, so I don't know.
Since Cannon's experienced in this, and I'm sure feels confident of winning, would he work it on a contingency basis? No. And you answered that awfully quick.
As I told you, I discussed it with him. The questions were asked and answered.
So what approximately would it take to, would it take this 50 that Mr. Kennedy is talking about?
I don't doubt for a second it's take at least 50. Now, there were some earlier estimates last year that it could be as much as 150, and I won't say that it couldn't, but you can pretty well count on at least the 50, and it's probably going to go above that. It's not going to be an inexpensive proposition.
Okay, now would Cannon also have to wait until the county responded before he can do anything, or would he step in and
Somebody's got to hire him first. At this point, I've only discussed it with him and how this board wants to approach. They want to take the lead. Obviously, probably, if we want to see about getting the county's got to cooperate or we don't go forward. They've got to be able to use their name. If you want to try to pull it together to meeting fairly quickly to see if they will fund any of this lawsuit, I'm assuming we could pull together a meeting with Mike Crew and Wanda Green in fairly short order.
How about doing that? I'll be glad to go. I'll be glad to attend it. Let me know.
Yeah, and then we could call a special meeting to discuss it further once you get that information, because I mean, we don't have or at least I don't feel like I've got enough information tonight to make that, especially since we're dependent upon the county.
We've got to have the use of their name, if nothing else. That's correct.
Right. Yeah. So
I'll make those calls in the morning and I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Mayor, could we please request that all of the people up front speak into their microphones? We are having a great deal of difficulty hearing back here in the geriatric section.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll try to do better.
Thank you.
Next is the public hearing. Karen, have you seen Karen? Karen Keehan, I didn't see Karen. This is a CDBG grant application for $750,000 for development of public infrastructure, the railroad industrial access at Ingalls Markets Distribution Center.
Good evening. Am I close enough? Can hear?
It's not coming up.
Okay.
Do you want to do this? Do you want me to take it?
This evening's presentation is on the Community Development Block Grant Economic Development Program and Ingalls Market Distribution Center Access Project that is proposed. The North Carolina Department of Commerce, under the Commerce Finance Agency, under their Economic Development Program, provides funding to local governments that involve a for-profit business to create or retain jobs. Funding for projects is based on the number of jobs to be created and the level of distress within the community applying for the funds. 60% of the jobs created or retained in a project must be for persons qualified at prior to as low to moderate income individuals. That means that a person that is applying for the position prior to their point of employment needs to be low to moderate income, and that is on a sliding scale that Department of Housing and Urban Development provides us on an annual basis. Community development block grants are granted to the local government for various types of infrastructure improvements to assist with for-profit businesses created or retaining jobs. In our case, the project is the grant recipient would be the town of Black Mountain. The loan recipient would be Ingalls Markets, Inc. The number of jobs being created is 75. The amount of the grant loan, because it's a grant to the town and a loan to Ingalls Markets, is $750,000, which is $10,000 per job created. The matching funds is 25%, which is $187,500, and that is and Ingalls is bringing those dollars to the table to the town of Black Mountain. This is the project site. The construction is for 2 access roadways to the new Ingalls Market Distribution Center, one on the I would say the most westward end of the facility and one on the most eastern. You can see them marked with the little yellow pegs on the photo slide. This slide also shows you the different sites on the same Ingalls site and shows the two different intersections. This is the east entrance viewscape looking west, looking north, looking south, and looking east. This is the west entrance viewscape looking west, east, south, and north. The application that is being proposed includes the following requirements, required resolutions and signing of signed documents. The application for community development block grants has various and a numerous number of federally required or state required documents to be signed. It's a plethora of documents, I would say. And it basically covers everything from, and as it shows up there, equal opportunity, anti-displacement, assurance that you're working with local businesses whenever possible, citizens participation plan, which the public hearings are, and this is the second public hearing. Resolutions to create a procurement procedures, that's to ensure that procurement is done in a very open process. Grant disclosures, certification authorizing for the mayor to sign all the documents, which will be numerous. The resolution to move forward to make the grant application, and then the application summary pages, which are the front pages of the application that really just summarizes those components that I spoke of earlier, which are the number of jobs and the amount of the grant. The loan requirements that are posed to the Ingalls markets is loan participation, and yes, we do know how to spell lean, but spell check doesn't always catch that for me, L-I-E-N. Loan participation agreement, which Ingalls is, their attorneys have been reviewing and are moving forward with. Company job creation commitments, they are also working on their documents there and have already completed their existing employment documents. They have completed all their paperwork that they are supporting this project with. And they are providing all necessary wage and employment documentation to support the grant administration until the grant closes out. So there is work that they are going to be doing throughout this process to ensure that we meet that 75 number of full-time equivalent employees. And if approved, we will work with them to ensure that this project is a success.
Any questions from the board?
I have. Pretty much what I've seen in research, what you presented to us, in the match, it appears to be a gentleman's agreement. Is there going to be a written agreement?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And define the responsibilities of the town staff. What exactly will be the responsibilities of the town staff as it pertains to this?
The responsibilities of the town, well, it is a grant to the town, so from the Department of Commerce. At this time, Ingalls Market is looking to hire Land of Sky to administer the grant on behalf of the town and Ingalls Market. The responsibility would be to work with me in the transitioning of funds from Department of Commerce when I present invoices to be approved by the town, and then the funds would come to the town on a pre-approval by the town, and then those dollars and any cost, the cost of $750,000, whatever costs are to be expended.
But literally all the legwork and everything would be done by the town staff?
No, they would be done by our staff at Land of Sky to administer. Ingalls is, at this time, Ingalls is bringing Land of Sky in to administer the project on behalf of the town and Ingalls.
Okay, I guess what I was looking at, it says the town will be responsible for ensuring that all construction work is publicly bid in accordance with grant stipulations and state law. All funds will flow through the town, and the town will be responsible for all reporting requirements.
Yes, that is.
That would be done by the town staff, right?
You then hire a grant administrator, which that is where our role is in this project. Okay, so yes, you can transfer that responsibility to Land to Sky to do that on your behalf. And then we are responsible to you to meet those requirements and provide you with the documents and check in with you to keep you on track.
Okay. So you're literally looking at the construction of basically 2 new driveways, 2 new entryways, correct?
Correct.
Who would be responsible for those, the maintenance on them?
Ingalls.
Ingalls would?
Yes.
And I was noticing in here that, and I saw it on your presentation, that there's a financial disclosure for everyone who has an interest. I forgot how it was noted in here. Everyone who has an interest in this, there's a financial disclosure.
And the interest, those that have an interest in that are Ingalls Market and the town of Black Mountain.
No other individuals or anyone, or
No.
stockholders or anything?
No.
Can you tell us about what measures have been taken to resolve issues with Mr. Watson and Ingalls?
I am not aware. I know that it is in process, and I know that the State Department of Commerce has stated to me in a communication that the release of funds will not occur until that issue is resolved.
So there's still legal issues going on.
And when I have been given the documentation that those issues have been resolved is when the state of North Carolina will move forward with this project. Okay?
Any other questions? Thank you, Karen. This time I accept a motion to open for a public hearing regarding this grant.
So moved.
Motion been made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Let's see, I believe the first one we had to sign up for that was Teresa Watson.
I am Teresa Watson. My husband Rick and I own the land that Ingalls wants to build this new proposed western entrance on. Since August of 2008, Ingalls and the town of Black Mountain have been aware of the fact that Ingalls does not have legal access to this intersection. Rick spoke at numerous alderman meetings in the spring and summer of 2010 addressing this very issue. On July 16, 2010, we met with Elizabeth Teague and Ingalls representative Randy Jamerson to resolve this matter. During that meeting, Mr. Jamerson assured Elizabeth Teague, Rick, myself, and our attorney that Ingalls had no interest whatsoever in purchasing any or all of the Grovestone intersection. According to Mr. Jamerson, Ingalls did not want to build a new entrance to their facility. They wanted to use the one they have. At that meeting, Elizabeth asked Mr. Jamerson to have the plan on file at the town of Black Mountain revised to show that the entrance to the new facility would remain at the current location. On September 1st, 2010, we received an email from Elizabeth confirming that the new plans were in and the entrance at Grovestone Road had been removed. We have not heard from the town or Ingalls since. Imagine our surprise on July 25th of this year when we were served with a lawsuit from Norfolk Southern. As stated in the lawsuit, Norfolk Southern wishes to use their charter right-of-way across our property to enter into a contract with Ingalls to install, maintain, and use a crossing for the benefit of Ingalls, its employees, customers, invitees, guests, and delivery personnel. And now, here I stand at yet another alderman meeting, listening to a presentation from the Land of the Sky Regional Council about an entrance for Ingalls across the very intersection they proclaim to have no interest in, defending my rights as a property owner again, and dealing with the same issue we have been dealing with for 4 years that was supposed to be resolved in July 2010. And that issue is the fact that Ingalls does not have legal access to that intersection. I find it infuriating, and that is an understatement. That not one person from Ingalls, the Land of the Sky Regional Council, the Town of Black Mountain Board of Aldermen, or the mayor has contacted us about this proposed new entrance. Did it not cross your mind that perhaps you should engage the people who actually own the land this proposed entrance sits on? Or is it the policy of the Town of Black Mountain to blindside your property owners, your neighbors, and the taxpayers in this town? Why in the world are you even discussing a resolution tonight when the land for this proposed new entrance is the subject of a lawsuit, and as of tonight, December 12th, 2011, Ingalls doesn't have legal access across us to build anything? How do you intend to acquire the Watson property that is the subject of this proposal? By hiding behind Norfolk Southern while they try to bully their way across us? The first court date regarding this lawsuit is not until January the 3rd, and I can assure you that I don't intend to be run over by Norfolk Southern, by Ingalls, by the Land of the Sky Regional Council, or by this town and its mayor. I want to know when this plan was permitted and approved by the Town of Black Mountain for this new proposed entrance, and who approved it. Where is this $750,000 loan at 0% interest going to come from? Would this grant money happen to be taxpayer dollars? And the additional $187,500 that the town must provide has been graciously and conveniently provided by Ingalls. This is absolutely ludicrous. Ingalls is going to employ 75 new people whether they move their entrance or not. And as far as I'm concerned, they can spend their own money to upgrade the entrance they have. According to an Ingalls press release on December 5th, 2011, net income for the fiscal year ended September 24th, 2011 was $39.1 million. $39.1 million in net income. Why in the world would you think that the taxpayers of this town and this state should foot the bill for a new entrance to a multi-billion-dollar corporation? We've already given them $100 million of taxpayers' money to build this expansion. If Ingalls truly has all those concerns about the safety of their employees and the truck traffic stated in the project narrative of this proposal, then why are they not spending some of their $39 million profit to update and regrade their current entrance? And this catastrophic ammonia plume in your presentation? Wow. I hope the Black Mountain Fire Department is prepared for something like that. Not to mention the neighbors and 2 schools in close proximity to this new facility. The current entrance already goes over the rail to US 70. If that is such a concern, I think Ingalls should use some more of their $39 million profit to bring it up to the standards they require. Since when did the cost to expand the Ingalls Distribution Center in order for Ingalls to make more money become a burden for the taxpayers of this county to bear? This is a classic case of corporate greed. A multi-billion-dollar corporation has teamed up with the good old boys of the Town of Black Mountain to fast-track a pet project of theirs. This resolution amounts to $750,000. It would be nice if the good old boys got together to acquire this type of funding for the small businesses in this valley that struggle every day to stay afloat. There was quite an uproar in the Black Mountain News before the election about running the tax twins out of town. The allegation was, Mr. Mayor, that you sponsored those ads. I certainly hope not, because it is my understanding that you, and you alone, have handled this ridiculous request for a grant with the Land of the Sky staff, with Ingalls, and with the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Commerce. You new board members were elected because the taxpayers of this town and this entire country are tired of government waste. I encourage you to table this resolution and do what you were elected to do. Be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Mr. Mayor, I invite you to sit down face to face and discuss this intersection at Grovestone Road with Rick and I, and to bring your buddies at Ingalls with you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, my name is Ted Sandler, an attorney with Spielman and Hicks, 6400 Powers Ferry Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. I'm here representing Ingalls Markets Incorporated. I just like to say in our defense, that was quite an attack. We think that we are a very strong member of this community. We're probably the largest employer in the community and probably pay the most in property taxes in the community. This grant is very important to us. We are going through a very significant investment to more than double the size of our warehouse in Black Mountain. We'll be creating significantly more than 75 jobs. 75 is the number we have to show to satisfy the state for the grant application, but we'll far exceed 75 employees. Ingalls looked at options. This is our home, this is where we want to be, and this is where we wanted our expansion to take place. In regard to Mrs. Watson's comments, we have no involvement in the ownership of the property, her property, the Norfolk Southern property. Norfolk Southern has easement rights over the Watson property. They have assured us that their rights include the ability to make safety improvements, and that those safety improvements include relocating the western driveway, the existing driveway, to line up with Grovestone Road. We also have another driveway that we need to relocate and construct at the eastern end. Most of you may know as the radio station property from the Billy Graham family. That's the intersection we need to improve now. That's the most urgent. We've been fortunate that it's been a fairly mild fall. We've had very good weather. We are months ahead of our construction schedule. We hope to open the new warehouse in April, May of 2012. So we're about 6 months away. We currently have over 1,100 employees. That doesn't count vendors, sales folks, truck traffic. That's just employees. We have over 3,600 trips per day, truck traffic and vehicular traffic, accessing the existing warehouse using the one drive. We need the second drive because of the increased number of trips. Will be over 1,000 more cars and tractor trailers than what we experience today. To have all those come in at the western entrance and loop around to the new warehouse is just not feasible. And then there is the safety issues. Yes, the Landis guy talked about the potential release of ammonia. We hope that never happens. There are also floods in the area, the Swananoa River. You also have issues with the railroad crossing. The current crossing isn't at grade. There's a hump in it. It's not safe. The number of accidents there have been documented. By moving the intersection down to Grovestone, it will be a level crossing at a traffic light. It will be a safer crossing. Adding the new intersection will minimize the number of trips that have to access the property at Grovestone Road. We see this as a win-win. This is very important to us. It's important for us for this application to be approved now so we can move ASAP to start construction on the easternmost driveway, which does not affect the Watsons at all. They're not involved with the easternmost driveway. We could start that as soon as the grant application is approved, designs are completed, and we're very anxious to get under construction on the eastern driveway. As Karen said, the Department of Commerce has said they will not fund the work on the western driveway until the lawsuit is resolved. I can't speak to the merits of the lawsuit. We're not a party to it. We have been in regular contact with the Norfolk Southern attorneys, and they're very optimistic as to the outcome. They feel like they've got the rights to do what they're looking to do without having to acquire any other property rights. It's a safety improvement within their limits of their easement. Again, we're not involved in acquiring right-of-way. We're not building this. I mean, within the right-of-way for the railroad is building the crossing. This does not involve Ingalls Markets versus the Watsons, and I want to make that very clear. Again, this is Ingalls. Yes, we're applying for a grant. Yes, we're going to make the city whole, the town whole. This should not cost the town a penny. It's very important. This will add tax base, will add jobs in the town, and we hope that you will favorably consider this application and approve it tonight. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have regarding the application or Ingalls Market's concerns about safety and access to our warehouse. Thank you.
Just a moment. Any questions of him?
Looking at item 8A in the packet, application summary. It says CB and CDBG funds requested $750,000. Other funds and sources $187,500 for a total project of $937,500. How is that explained? I mean, what's the...
Karen, I think, explain. That's the part I think Ingalls has to put in.
That is the $187,500 is that 25% match that is required for the program, and Ingalls Markets is providing that match. So that's what brings that to that larger number.
So is the construction of those two areas going to exceed almost $1 million?
It will be much more than that, but Ingalls is bringing other dollars to the table. These are the absolute required dollars for this grant application.
And it's probably beyond you guys to answer, but kind of like what Ms. Watson said, I'm kind of concerned that, you know, if Ingalls had a profit margin of over $35 million, why do they need a grant for $937,000?
I don't know if you want to touch that. You want me to?
My role in this is the request was made to us to bring the application together, and that is my role. So I can't. That's not a question I can answer. Right. That's not a question I can answer for you.
Thank you. I'm just kind of. If you got that kind of money, why do you need us? Maybe I'm clueless.
Well, we'll be spending probably close to $600,000 of our own money. We don't know the final price tag yet because the design is yet to be undertaken. These are public monies that are available through the state. We've routinely applied for other monies, for stores, for sewer expansion, for other improvements. The main thing is it's to encourage job creation, and that's what we're doing here, is creating jobs.
I know this is the second time we've had the public hearing, but I think this, and I don't know about anybody else sitting up here or anyone who was sitting up here previously, but this is the first time I've seen this application or anything like this in this depth before tonight.
This is the first time it's been up here.
I mean, how long is this negotiation, how long has this been being prepared?
How many other things have we
How
had?
about
That's
Karen?
irrelevant, Tim.
Wait a minute.
That's irrelevant. That's
Don't get out of order,
irrelevant.
guys. Look, Karen brought it to us Friday. Karen brought it up here to us Friday.
Oh, okay. So I've had time to study it over the weekend, as like you say, Tim, previous situations.
Yeah, when we get it at
Yeah.
5 o'clock on Monday afternoon.
Right, I understand. Thank you.
This is one that the town's not spending any money on.
Yeah.
I believe the last contract we had, we spent $350,000, and we had an hour.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Anyone else
Is this a public hearing still?
on this?
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Elaine Lotzenheiser, 410 Avena Road. I'd like to know on part of the motion to a consideration, why do we have to authorize the mayor to sign all related grant documents when in the past Marcy has handled that, or our town manager, whoever it was, has handled that. I have a real problem with some of the friends of legal issues regarding railroads and so forth, and I prefer somebody that's not political.
Marcy, if you show up that day, you can sign them.
That is a requirement of the grant documents that the chief elected official sign the documents.
I'll let you sign underneath my name, Marcy. Okay, anyone else? Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there a motion to move forward with the grant application?
So moved.
Motion to move forward with grant application. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I just wanted to make one statement here, and this was on,
Motion passes 4-1.
yeah. But anyway, according to the application summary here, if you look on page 4, at the very top, under economic development, it's listed right here. This is a loan to Ingalls, correct? This is a loan. So, whereas many times when you hear the word grant, lots of times grants mean free money. But in this situation, this is just a loan to Ingalls.
I think it's important to recognize that it's a forgivable loan. So in essence, it is a grant, provided that Ingalls maintains its responsibilities of creating and maintaining jobs.
Yeah, she wants, yeah. Yeah, please do.
Please.
Yes, you are correct. It is absolutely correct. It is a loan to Ingalls. It is what is called a deferred forgivable at 0% interest. It is based on the number of jobs that are created and retained over a 3-year period of time. If they do not meet those, the 75 jobs, then a percentage of those dollars would be recaptured by the town based on what has not been performed. So it is a performance-based loan. But at the end of the 3 years, then it is completely forgiven.
Do we know how long the project is slated to take?
I don't think engineers have got that far.
The grant itself is 30 months.
30 months.
Mm-hmm. So all work has to be initiated and completed within a 30-month period.
75 jobs at an average of $10,000 per job in 30 months.
75 jobs basically at $10,000 per job is what they're, yes.
For 30 months.
Well, they have to retain the jobs for 3 years.
And that's the minimum requirement that the state sets forth in their.
That is across the board, that is the program requirement, exactly.
So that minimum is put in there.
Yes.
Ingalls states it'll probably be somewhere more like 140 to 160.
Yes, the jobs that they are, and I don't have that number, I would have to, ask that of Ingalls, but yes, I know the number is much higher.
So 60% of the jobs that are created or retained in the project, well, according to the grant process, that 60% of the jobs created or retained in the project must be the persons qualifying as prior low or moderate income folks, right?
Correct.
So in this situation, you're looking at 75 jobs, you're talking about 60% would be, what, basically about 40, 45 people?
45 people, individuals, and we will track that.
Next item is new business. We removed the 5-year, am I correct on that?
Yes, but Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, if I could at this time, bring that up, or is there another time?
Well, you voted in the approval of it. You want to change your vote?
Yes, I do want to change my vote.
Okay, then bring it up for discussion.
Okay. This now, we're talking about what was passed in the operating lease for the golf course. And as you heard the gentleman from Billy Casper go ahead and give their presentation, I asked the questions in here about Smith and Turf Irrigation, which was $11,400 more than the other two bids. But you also heard then John speak to the issue, the fact that there were these blade knives that they had on hand, approximately about $10,000 worth of equipment they've got down there between bearings and wheels and blades. So that if we go ahead and get another company, we're going to have to buy those extra blades, those extra wheels, those extra bearings. We've used Toro over there for years and years. When a piece of equipment has gone down that our gentleman can't fix, Toro has been on the spot to bring us another piece of equipment until ours could get back running properly. That's service. That's something sometimes you can't put a dollar figure on. But when you're in the middle of a summertime and you've got grass growing and you got to get it cut, that's a tremendous advantage. So that we're never required to take the lowest bid. It's always good to look at the low bids. But in this situation, I think our town would be better served in staying with the people that has gone ahead and has served us well at that golf course, that has taken care of the equipment and has also helped us when we were in binds with broken equipment. So I'd like to go ahead and bring up a motion to rescind. I think that's the proper way, wouldn't it be, Ronnie, to rescind the first?
Undo your prior act, that's correct.
Yeah. So I would like to make a motion that we do away with the original bid or motion to award that to State Pump, and then hopefully if that gets rescinded, then I'll make another motion then to let Smith Turf have that.
There's a motion on the floor to rescind the prior motion to purchase from Tri-State Pump. In discussion?
There's been quite a bit of email discussion back and forth about this situation. Mr. Sneed, I think you've been asked for some direction as far as how it applies in the budget, and the contract has already been awarded.
The issue that's popped around that I've had a chance to touch on is whether or not this was a matter that the town manager could have acted on and accepted the bid and proceeded, or whether it was a matter that has to come before this board. That took me to a long and twisty bit of research that I hadn't had to do before because the issue had not risen in that fashion. It has been custom, basically, that these operating bids go out when they're in the budget, and the town manager has taken a low bid, whatever has gone on. There's nothing that keeps this board from taking that responsibility back on any particular contract. Either approach, there's no problem with it. I will back up a second, since I spent the time, you might want the benefit of my headaches, and because these questions will come up, and the new board members will stumble across them every now and then, is you have municipal contracting. Any contract entered into by a town must be in writing. That's simple enough. You can't make an oral contract. The second is you have council manager form of government. That creates a new animal that up until about 1986 you didn't have, and that's a town manager. Up until that time we had a town administrator and the mayor, it was mayor council. The mayor literally it was your administrative head. But through evolution, Al Richardson was town administrator for years, but nobody could tell the difference between him and town manager, so the town became council manager form of government. Looked at the statutes and go, okay, who has the authority to enter into contracts with the town? Statutes aren't real clean on this, but the legislation says that any contract, and back to that first statute out of sight, it says any contract entered into by or on behalf of a town must be in writing. That implies to me that your department or your town manager or somebody besides this board can enter into contracts. You will stumble into some history with their charter, and you want to, this one's a real fun one, because in 1951 our charter was reissued by the state, and that charter says that no contract for expenditure of funds exceeding 1 year may be entered into by the town unless approved by ordinance. And I can tell you, you can go back to 1951, you won't find an ordinance approving any contract this town's entered into. In 1971, Chapter 160A of the North Carolina General Statutes was adopted, and that's an even more fun one. It has 3 paragraphs, and I went over this with Mr. Sobel today because it's a little hard to puzzle out. Because the first one says, you choose. You got the charter, you got the new law, pick one. The second one says if you have the charter and it sets out a procedure and it's incomplete, then you can go to the general law to finish that. The third one says that if there's a conflict between the charter and the general law, then charter rules. And those don't fit together real well. And I had to take that to be that you got to choose. And I think this town, inadvertently, you know, you didn't sit down one day and say, we take door number 1. It's by action, basically, this town is elected and it's contracting process to follow the general law, the statutes. And forget that chapter, that 60-year-old provision or a charter that just doesn't fit anymore. But now that you got my history lesson, I spent a lot of time on, this is something that if it had proceeded as before and the town manager had signed off and signed a contract on the new bid, that would have been fine. If this board decides this is an issue that they want to take up and bring back to this table, that's fine too. The manager's power derives from what power you give it, other than those items specified in the statutes. And this one is not specified. And the statute says in any other authority, any other actions that the board directs the manager to take. And I think, although it's been a rough road for you folks that had to discuss it, this board is elected to take this matter back under their own wing and discover this one, and you're free to do that.
Well, I appreciate your explanation. I appreciate that you were able to give that explanation to Mr. Sullivan. I would have asked maybe as in-depth as you gave an explanation just then, that you could have shared that with the rest of this board also.
Well, that was late this afternoon, and actually, the history, I think we were talking about something else, and I was talking, it wasn't this matter they were discussing. He just asked me about it. What does this charter provision mean? And he had the good fortune that I'd researched that recently. Otherwise, we'd all be flying blind on that question this evening.
Just to comment to the general public out there, you're seeing a excellent practice in diplomacy currently being undertaken. An issue cannot be brought back before this board unless it is brought back by a person who voted in the affirmative for that issue. In the agenda room, well, even earlier tonight, you had a vote on this and it was approved 5-0. But it was approved 5-0 by people who knew that they were not in agreement with this. Why did they do that? Because at the time, the sitting board probably had a 3-2 vote, the three amigos. I would dare to say right now that that action will be overturned by the board that sits here now. Another observation. She not out on
I pointed to her. You're right.
Another observation is Tri-State Pump. Well, excuse me, Smith Turf and Irrigation from out of Charlotte. They have been a long-time supplier of equipment for Black Mountain Golf Course, if my understanding is correct. The gentleman who runs that operation, is he not also a resident of Black Mountain? Is he not also a member of the golf course?
Are we doing Q&A or?
I'm asking questions. I mean,
write your questions down, get through with them, and I'll see if I can get them answered. Is that all you have?
Yes, that's all I'm going to ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I would see a conflict of interest in that.
Okay. Anyone else?
I wanted to go back to what Ron was saying. Do we have the authority, or should we have the authority, or has it already been given that the manager can just qualify us for any amount of money?
No, the difference here is this cannot be out of air, but this is a budgeted item. You already have this in your budget. This is not something that the manager has the ability to go out and spend money. You already have them provided to be spent. If this were an item that were not in your budget, that'd be an entirely different issue. You'd have to either approve her action or approve a budget amendment so she could go take the action.
But you're saying once a budget is approved, funding is automatically made?
No, you still have the contract, but and again, I think, I'm not saying that this board ever actively just sat down and you or any of your predecessors decided this is the way it's gonna be. But I think historically, that's where you got, and if this board wants to, and I guess there's one other source. This board, neither you nor your predecessors have set out any policy as to what the town manager can or can't do. It's happened as a matter of evolution. Through Al Richardson's term, through Tony's term, and now with Marcy, that these matters of ongoing matters of contract have been handled by the managers. When I looked at, do I have any guidance with what this board has adopted in any fashion as to what the manager can and can't do? I had to look. The only thing you got is your department head manual, and that department head procedures manual says that the department head has full control of the expenditure of funds within their budget. And if the department head operates that way and you have a budgeted item, then if there's any argument at all there, then the town manager has that ability. Again, I don't think that's the issue at this point. This board's elected to take this back and handle it, and you can. And if this board has a concern that custom and history has created something in the town manager that you didn't want to be, you can fix that. And it's not you sit down and write out a procedure. But that's where you are.
I guess the point that bothered me on it was you're talking about a $250,000 contract that does exceed your annual budget. So therefore, I felt like it should become before the board in a new proposal. Because we do that with police cars. We've done it in the past with police cars.
If you budgeted for police cars and set a number, and for a while we had that. We had a replacement policy and a budgeted number, and they didn't come to you every year when they bought 2 cars. But when they've gone with big financing packages, then it's come back to this board.
Well, and most of those have been below $250,000.
Sure. So those are finances,
So this,
not budgeted.
well, this is being financed too in one regard. It's just a technical term on it.
I'm saying you've got a custom that now if you want the policy established there, we probably need to get that right.
It's obligating the town to $250,000.
Sure.
Any other discussion? All in favor of rescinding this prior motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid of Smith Turf and Irrigation, toll road equipment dealer that we've dealt with very well in the past and has served us very well in the past years.
Motion on the floor to accept Smith. In discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1. Approval of master plan village at Montreat.
Good evening, Mayor Bartlett, Board of Aldermen. My name is Marshall Flowers. I live in Black Mountain at 42 Mandolin Drive. I also serve Montreat College as Provost and Senior Vice President, and it's my privilege tonight to be before you to present to you the village at Montreat and our intent to further develop our Black Mountain campus. We are grateful at Montreat College to be in partnership with the town of Black Mountain. Currently on our campus on Black Mountain, we engage in intercollegiate activities, both for soccer and softball. We have our outdoor education center, our teacher education center, and then our School of Professional and Adult Studies Administration building on that campus. And you will receive, and you have before you, our proposal for the village at Montreat. I'd like to spend a few moments with you and just acquaint you to the current history of Montreat College, now in its 95th year. As we progress towards our 100th anniversary, we want to assure you that our mission is strongly in focus. We are a Christ-centered, student-focused, service-driven institution, equipping agents of transformation, renewal, and reconciliation. We offer degrees at the associate level, the bachelor's level, and now at the master's level. In 2010-11, our last academic year, we had over 481 traditional students on the Montreat campus and also on the Black Mountain campus. We have over 600 adult learners in Asheville and Charlotte. 12 countries are represented in our new student population that came in, and actually over 29 countries internationally are represented among our faculty and our student body as a whole. 37% of the students at Montreat College come from out of state. 30 states are represented. Among our students on the traditional campus, 35 to 40% are first-generation college students. A great opportunity for them to study at a place like Montreat College. Enrollment over the past few years has moved up and down, and we hope it'll move on a steady stream upward. That's our long-range planning, and that's the reason we're before you with the village at the Black Mountain campus, is our long-range strategic planning calls for significant development and growth in our student body, and we hope in this area, Black Mountain and Montreat, will have well over 550 to 600 students in the near future. Our academic programs, over 82% of the faculty at Montreat College hold a terminal degree in their field. The current faculty-student ratio in the year of 2010-11 was 11 to 1. It's dropped down to about 9 to 1, and it's our goal to have it actually even a little higher, and it's an enrollment factor that will drive that up, and we look forward to that. Our students are engaged academically, and the average, grade point average at Montreat is 3.15 on a 4.0 scale. We have over 50 academic programs. Our largest academic programs include business, biology, human services, and psychology, outdoor education, and elementary education. Our newest academic program, just approved by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, is the new Master of Science in Counseling. And this will bring to our number of degrees at the graduate level 5 degree programs. In athletics, you would be interested in knowing that approximately 220 students of our 440 to 50 students on campus are student athletes. We have 13 varsity sport teams. 5 athletes were named to the Appalachian Athletic Conference All-Conference teams this past year. 6 athletes named to the academic all-conference teams. Our volleyball coach, Christy Mooberry, earned the Appalachian Athletic Conference Coach of the Year Award. And graduate Ben Hall was the cross-country runner, was named Champion of Character, and Allie Baumgartner, a volleyball athlete, was named Player of the Year for the entire conference in all sports. We're proud of our athletic programs. Some of the latest news, we just had a team of students at the master's level spend their field practicum in all of the islands of Hawaii this summer for 2 weeks, where they explored all the ecosystems in their environmental educational field practicum. We've launched nursing education in Asheville, new partnerships with community colleges throughout western North Carolina. President Struble was named Charlotte Business Leader of the Year for higher education. Plein air drawings of campus have been completed by art professor Jim Sutherland, and we signed a female pitcher to our men's baseball program, Marty Simontelli, and that's yet to get some national news, but we know that it's in the works as some of the national magazines have already begun to interview her. New initiatives on the campus and in our region. Strategic planning is taking place right now through our centennial year. Our facilities and grounds are now managed by the Aramark Corporation. We've opened the Huckleberry Cafe coffee shop on our campus, and that serves the whole town of Montreat as well as our students. And we're working very diligently with a new branding and marketing program that rolls out in the next 2 to 3 months. Our alumni are distinguished. We have a former president of the Virginia State Board of Education, Mark Embledge, Honorable Greg Thompson, Glenda and Preston Parrish, authors, Jazz Cathcart, who's pictured here in his program in Asheville, the foundation, I Have a Dream Foundation, Ruth White, a Newbery Medal honoree for Belle Prater's Boy, and among other notable children book awards, Laura LaFoon, inspirational speaker on marriage. Our Reflection magazine tells the story quite often, and we would be pleased to have any of you join our mailing list. You can find it at www.montreat.edu, or we would be glad to get you a printed copy at any time. And I think if you go to that website, you can be a person receiving Reflection magazine at Montreat College. The resources for our community are significant. Our chapel and convocation program is an open forum for anybody who would come and be with us. Our Hamilton Art Gallery, many of you have the opportunity to make your way through our art gallery. Our McCall program, based here in the Black Mountain area, educates adult learners. The Thielman Lecture Series takes place annually. The Friends of Music concerts. We just had our wonderful Christmas concert on the weekend to full houses on Friday and Saturday evening. The Friends of the Library Book Club meets on a monthly basis. And I just want to end by saying you are our volunteers. The communities of Montreat and Black Mountain, a number of our alums, our friends, our community hosts have joined us on our business advisories, our board of trustees, have been involved in community work days with us here. You can see recently a project at the Black Mountain Primary School. And we just enjoy our partnership with you. Thank you for what you do, and we are grateful to present to you now this Village at Montreat project. And I'm going to ask Jesse Gardner to come at this time, and he will, with civil design concepts, and he will lead you in the next portion of our presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Flowers. My name is, or Mayor, Board of Aldermen, my name is Jesse Gardner, 30 Bethel Drive, Black Mountain. I'm also a alumni, fortunate to be alumni of Montreat College. I work for Civil Design Concepts. We are an engineering firm out of Asheville and Waynesville. We've done several projects in the town of Black Mountain. We hope to do several more projects in the town of Black Mountain. To prepare for these projects, we met probably multiple times with town staff, Marcy, Jennifer, Dan, Spencer, Mark White. So we met previously before the master plan was submitted to the planning board. Then we've also met with the design teams and staff again to talk more specific issues. To get you sort of oriented with Montreat and give you a little history of Montreat's college property in the town of Black Mountain, here on the slide is an aerial view of the Montreat College parcel. In the mid 2000, or in around 2000, Montreat purchased the In the Oaks property, which is about 60 acres. Purchased that from the Episcopal Diocese of Western North Carolina. A few years afterwards, they ended up purchasing the western end, which was the former stump dump or the driving range parcel, which added approximately plus or minus another 30 acres to get them close to this overall parcel here shown is right at 89.2 acres located in the town of Black Mountain. The current zoning district is currently split zone. The stump dump parcel, I believe, is zoned office institutional 6 by our current zoning code, and the former In the Oaks property proper, I guess, the 60 acres is zoned institutional campus development. That is the only property zoned with that district. So as we rewrote the land use code a couple years back, is primarily with this property in mind, as it's the only ICD zone property in the town of Black Mountain. Go to the next slide. Here's a sort of a overall, let me go back one slide. You see in the right side of this aerial, there's a dashed white line there along Vance Avenue. If you're familiar, you got the I-40 to the south. You have Blue Ridge Road to the far west. We're bordered by the railroad and US 70 to the north. And then the east side of the property comes, and we have Vance Avenue sort of on our east boundary. I think you can make out the soccer field and the softball field there that was constructed several years ago. The property that we are master planning tonight and with this project is only the dashed portion there, which is 8.4 plus or minus acres. So as I get to this master plan, that is the property that we are proposing to master plan at this, basically as a phase 1 master plan. Here is that zoomed in version of our master plan. Hopefully you can see that. To give you an idea why we're here today, why does Montreat want to develop, or what's the emphasis from Montreat besides growth? Currently, Montreat has 4 dormitories on the Montreat campus that are in desperate need of renovations. And their goal is to hopefully rotate, close one dorm down for a year, rotate into the Black Mountain campus for 4 years. So they would be visualizing a 4-year period of shutting a dorm down, doing full renovations, and utilizing this campus at that point. Second need is basically student recruitment, and needed growth in enrollment is often related to the quality of housing provided to new students, as students and families are demanding quality and safe housing. This new village will be a state-of-the-art housing, which will provide single-bedroom apartments and group settings. It will provide community space for student activities, fitness center, and incorporate the latest technologies for both learning and security. The timeline of this project is if and when this master plan is approved, we're looking to begin immediate construction as early as the 1st of this year. The goal is to have student housing available for the next calendar year, being August 2012. To give you a little, I'll go into how we're addressing the specific institutional campus district zoning code. Little details, but I think it's well worth it. As I mentioned previously, this is the only property in the town of Black Mountain zoned ICD. Some of the general requirements in this zoning code requires it to be greater than 2 acres. As I mentioned, our parcel that we're master planning is 8.4 acres. It also requires it to have a width greater than 200 feet. We well exceed that width. And then the maximum density prescribed in the zoning code is 10 units per acre. We are proposing 156 beds, which relates to approximately 6.3 units per acre, which is nearly half the density as permitted by zoning code. The zoning code also has a 100-foot setback from adjacently zoned districts. I'll go back to the master plan. I have depicted this zoning boundary or setback on this plan. We have no structure within that setback, and we are seeking to utilize as much of the existing vegetation for that buffer. You can see these pictures here. This is looking down Vance Avenue on the left. And then the very bottom left is looking back up Vance Avenue near the softball entrance, and there's a well-established buffer in existence. We're pursuing a low-impact design development, so we're going to basically save as many of the beautiful hardwoods as we can and to buffer the adjacent community. Zoning code does require 40-foot separation between buildings. That's basically a fire code's rule. We easily meet that requirement. Zoning code also requires 2 entrances to a state road or a town-owned road. We're adding a new entrance there to the south to Vance Avenue. We'll be widening and paving the current access drive in from the entrance to the manor house to provide adequate fire and emergency service access. Also in the zoning code, it speaks to pedestrian connectivity. We are required to add sidewalks per the Town of Black Mountain's pedestrian master plan along our project border. Also in the zoning code, it speaks to pedestrian connectivity. We are required to add sidewalks per the Town of Black Mountain's pedestrian master plan along our project border. That ended up being close to about 1,000 feet of sidewalk from our entrance down to the entrance to the softball field. Being good stewards, Montreat College wanted to finish the connection and actually extend another 300 to 400 feet of sidewalk, which would not be required by ordinance, but would make the physical connection to the In the Oaks Greenway there to the south of our site. Finally, I think our planning board meeting was November 28th, where we were approved 5-0. However, there was one request that we provide some traffic evaluation. During that 2-week time period, we hired a traffic consultant, Ramey Kipp and Associates, who's done other studies inside our town. In your packet should have been a letter providing trip estimates to you guys. Basically, their evaluation resulted was the amount of trips would not negatively impact, and it was their recommendation that there's plenty of capacity, both Vance Avenue and Terry Estates Drive, as shown on this aerial, to handle any additional increase in traffic. At this time, I'll invite Pat, the Ionelli with PDI Architecture. He's the project architect for this job. He'll speak to elevations.
My name is Pat Ionelli. I live in Anderson, South Carolina at 117 North Fork Drive. Just a few things on the buildings. The goal was, and intent was to have this as a village, give it a village atmosphere. And in doing that, went with a smaller one breezeway 12-unit buildings instead of the longer typical housing that you see. The height to the middle of the roof it varies by a few inches, but it's right at 34 feet 6 inches, which is under the 35-foot requirement. What you see here are the 4 student housing building types. There's also going to be included a mail kiosk and a transportation shelter that will be similar in nature to what you're looking at. As far as the units, we're at, I think Jesse had mentioned 156 beds. They're in 51 housing units. There'll be a combination of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 4-bedroom type units. And of those, there'll be private and semi-private bedrooms. The student housing buildings construction, they'll be planned for slab on grade. There's 3-story walk-up with one of the building types, if you look at the bottom right corner, is going to have an elevator in it. That's going to be that's planned for faculty and married housing. The exteriors of the buildings, we have stone, which will mimic the manor house, which is the property adjacent to or just north of the development. The siding is going to be fiber cement, and it'll be a combination of horizontal shake siding and board and batten. and the roofing will be an asphalt shingle. Also included, beyond the housing units, there's an education area in one of the buildings. In one of the other buildings, there's a fitness center and game room for the students. And in yet another building, there's a student loggia or gathering area for the students to hang out. The intent is to develop this project with LEED Gold certification. And different aspects of that will be lighting, mechanical units, efficiency, water heater efficiency, insulation, and materials. And if you have any other questions.
Who will own this building?
That is not for me.
Montree College.
Okay.
I've got some questions. Number one, I was glad to hear that you said that it's going to be LEED certified, so that's good. Will you be using 4-inch walls or 6-inch walls?
4-inch walls.
You're just going to do 4?
Just the 4. We have an R38 insulation in the ceiling.
I'm just a little confused on some things here. I guess part of this wouldn't be you, but it's about the master plan and the fact that, this is called a master plan, and yet my interpretation of a master plan is you show me a piece of property and this is what is going to be there. And so that I think it's not correct in saying that it's a master plan. It's part of a plan.
It's a master plan for the parcel. Yes.
Well, I mean, a master plan for one area, but it's not a master plan, which I guess that's going to be left up to this board and other boards to deal with in the future. And that is because I've just, as I look through the chapter 4 on zoning requirements there, I see where it ends up saying, that the master plan's got to be submitted, so many days after the conceptual plan, and then, but then the very last line says the master plan can be submitted in pieces, which
is the process we followed.
Yeah, but I mean, it just seems kind of bizarre that we would have on our books a paragraph that says you've got to submit a master plan after you present the conceptual plan within 30 days, and yet at the very end you say, "Oop, you don't have to worry about that. Then just present these little segments in there as we go along," which really gets me to the point, because of what we're talking about here is density. And you bring this on those folks in that neighborhood. We're talking about changing the complexion of that part of town. There's a lot of neighbors over there that didn't even know about that this was even going on. It was brought to the planning board, then it was brought here. So it would have been courtesy of Montree to have notified neighbors, just to say, give me your input on this. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with just being courteous to our neighbors and let them, because they're the ones who are going to feel the real brunt of this. And as we have this density, we don't really know what other density that there will be in the future. And we looked at, you say that we've got another entranceway here, and that's all fine and good, except everything's being dumped out on Vance Avenue. And yet, years ago, there was talk of a exit going over the railroad onto US 70 there, right at Goldmont Street. Then there was talk of an entrance going down through the stump dump, down into that area. And so none of that has been addressed. Also, too, we hear that we should go ahead and, you're going to be putting in some sidewalks. And you did go ahead and specify that it would be on the front there. I will say that the Greenway Commission went to Montree 8 years ago and requested to put a greenway along that edge, and as along the north part of the river, the Aswananoa River there, and we couldn't get anywhere with them. We wanted to put a sidewalk, greenway sidewalk in there with a stone base, and couldn't do it. Now, I'm not against Montree. I have to say my mother graduated from there back in the 30s. So, you know, Montreat has been around here. It's a good neighbor, provides jobs, and that's fine. But, you know, these are questions that I think are legitimate questions. My most specific questions get into this, how that you end up calculating units. I see here from chapter 4 on page 4-38, it says, under general requirements, D, for calculating units per acre, lines shall be drawn and shown on site plan indicating the acreage used for housing development, including residential. I can't understand from that how that you end up defining a unit, because you look here and you say that you've got 51 units. Well, that's basically then per building, that's almost 10, just a fraction over 10 units per building. Yet in the big buildings, you talk about that there's 12 units. And then you speak about that there's 44 in these others, and I'm just confused as to how, maybe you could help me on how we get with these units.
The first three, the bottom left, top right, or left and top right, those have 11 units in them apiece. Set up for 12, but one of the units is taken up with common areas and educational spaces. The building on the bottom right hand, which is the two on the far right, the east side of the property.
Okay, let me just ask one question, because you've got, okay, so building 4, you've got on the fronts here on these things, it's got building B. You've got building A, D, and C, but then these over here are called building 1.
Yeah, I apologize about that mix-up.
You know, can you correlate?
Building 1, if you, can you go back to the site plan? Building 1 is on the west side, the far left. That's building 1, and we numbered them clockwise.
Okay, would that be A?
That will be C.
That's C. All right.
Sorry about the confusion, just through the process. Building 2 is the next one to running clockwise. That is building A, and the next one will be building 3, which is building C.
Okay.
I'm sorry, building B. And then the 2 on the far right are both D style, and those are 9-unit buildings.
Okay. Just real quick, because looking at building D, when I look at the schematic here, I see 4 pitches on the roof from a front elevation, and I'm trying to figure, and I don't see that from the drawings. I mean, were these just, they're not to scale, is what?
It is a work in progress, but that was, the site plan was diagrammatic. If you look at the elevations, the rendered up elevations, those are the latest with the pitches and such.
Okay. So you're saying then that A, B, and C, those just have 11 units in them?
Yes.
Okay. So a unit is just a bedroom?
No, a unit is either a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, or 4-bedroom type units.
And those are prevalent in all of
Just the way you would define a condo or a townhouse or a home, that they have a shared door and have 2 bedrooms in them. And so from a traffic engineering standpoint, a unit is the same as a unit on this project as any other project. Just because it's student housing and we're calling bedrooms, does that answer your question? So the density, to address your density question, we've master planned this portion of the project. We can't develop the rest of this. This is 8.4 acres. There's another 81 acres. We can't put any more density on this project without coming back to this board, having another master plan, being able to talk about density at that point. If density were to change on this 8.4 acres, we would have to share it with you guys and get that blessing before we could add any future density. And one more traffic-related comment. I think some of your concerns with the traffic generation is Montreat has, at our planning board meeting, the long-term vision, though a full master plan of this 89 acres has not been completed yet, their vision is to have a major access point to Blue Ridge Road. And how this could potentially affect these projects is these would be secondary entrances that could potentially be gated and be emergency services entrance only. And we would want all of our traffic to flow to Blue Ridge Road. it is a residential community, and we want to be good neighbors.
How many students are you looking at to be in these apartments here?
One per bedroom, if I'm guessing right.
No, we have some shared bedrooms. Have a total of, that's the 156 beds. So that'll be the number of students.
So that's the maximum number. You haven't broken these down to where, could these bedrooms also to go ahead and have, if they were built, that you would then end up going in and putting 2 beds in the room?
They are.
Can they accommodate 2 beds?
Buildings A and B are planned for 2 beds per bedroom. Building C and then the married housing units are 1 bed per bedroom. So I do not believe the 4 bedroom or the building number 1 is, the bedrooms are large enough unless we let's say do something creative.
On that, so those others, the D buildings, you say they're married student housing, or will they be
faculty and or married/student housing?
So it could be all faculty then?
Yes.
Which, I mean, I just mentioned that because of the fact that, for students, I can certainly understand, having dorms for students, but when you start looking at putting housing in this area for faculty, it really hurts our own local rental market. And the fact that those folks could be renting from people who have rental units, be it houses or apartments, So, I think that's an issue there that, because I first looked at this, I thought it was going to be just strictly students, but I can see now that it's not. Let me ask one other thing then about the impervious surface area. If you go ahead and were to draw a line to the entrance all the way back down to the well, which you don't have marked there, just roughly, I mean, I was able to look on GIS. I come up with 996.5 feet.
Sure.
All right, so if you do an arc, that's going to cover all that parking area. Unless I'm misinterpreting this, it says, in section 4.7 with the wellhead protections that it's prohibited uses impervious surfaces covering more than 15% of the lot. And you've got on here, I think it is 26, wasn't that what you said?
It's 24.
24%. So can you help me on that?
I'll be glad to.
Dan Cordell sort of brought that to our attention after we've submitted master plans. Reviewing that ordinance, the wellhead overlay, it describes it as 15% of the lot. Our lot is 90 or 89 acres. This specific portion of that lot is 24% impervious. Because our lot is within 1,000 feet of a town of Black Mountain well, it is required to be less than 15% impervious, and it will be less than 15% impervious when fully developed.
So basically, you're saying that future parts of the ongoing master plan, it is going to be not less than 24, but less than 15 to make up for the difference that you're going over now.
The way the wellhead ordinance reads right now is the max percent impervious we can develop, that 89 acres, is 15%. And that's counting existing homes and existing structures and proposed structures. So when we look to develop a master plan of that 89 acres, that will have to be a hurdle to overcome. Whether we ask for a variance from that or seek a subdivision, that will be something that will have to be addressed.
So for purposes of this, we deal with 8 acres, but then for the parking and impervious, then we go ahead and we go to a different standard.
No, I'm dealing it exactly how the zoning code is written. It states that we are to draw a line on our property. It doesn't have to be subdivided. It doesn't have to be separated. We are to allocate this property and show how we're going to develop it. And that's what I've done. I've allocated this 8.4 acres as our property. Now, when we master plan additional acreage, you have to bring that back in and do the same again. So that's part of the phase master plan per the ordinance there.
One comment, clarification that I'd like to make is Mr. Sobel
didn't ask, would we have not, as a good neighbor, would we have not want to approach the neighbors? I would assure you that a representative of Montreat has visited all the neighbors on Vance Avenue, has made that a very purposeful part of our strategy over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
You say someone has personally been by to see these neighbors?
Yes.
Why are we getting calls then, when this come out, from folks down there saying, I knew nothing about this?
Did you get calls today then?
I have got 2 calls over the weekend.
Well, I mean, now, let me add,
We
just to
were
be
there
clear.
again
Did
today.
you just make these calls today or this past weekend?
No, it's been going on for about 3 weeks. I think some people have not been home at the time, and we returned to try to visit them. So it's our intent to be a good neighbor. That was my point.
So when these dorms in Montreat are renovated, I believe Dr. Flowers maybe addressed this, you expect growth to take care of the vacancies that occur.
Yeah. Well, he also mentioned that we have approximately 100 students that commute to Montreat campus that live in Montreat or live in Black Mountain, and it becomes an opportunity for them to be on campus.
I think that it's pretty, educational that when Montreat purchased this property, anyone who followed Montreat knew that at some point in time in their development, that they would have dorms in Black Mountain. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Looking at it from the standpoint of the people who live there, I mean, there are athletic events, if I'm correct, there are athletic events occurring now on that campus, soccer games or whatever. So where you do have people who are coming out to those games and, traffic that's flowing back and forth. So by adding 150 whatever new beds into that area, probably wouldn't cause that much more of a traffic problem. Correct?
Well, I was just going to say, on an annual basis, we've hosted 2 state tournament cross-country meets on our campus, and have benefited from our businesses in Black Mountain that have opened their parking lots and allowed us to shuttle from in and out of the neighborhood, and have done it in a way that has not agitated neighbors.
And I think one of the important things that I'm looking at is this plan, and which I do see, we can tomato master plan. But I think this doesn't say the master plan for Montreat College at Indy Oaks. This says the Village at Montreat College master plan. It specifically talks about the master plan for this area specific. This has already been before our planning board, and it's already been approved by them. Dan has been involved in it. Jennifer's been involved in it. Are they present where they can come up and address some of these questions that Mr. Sobel's brought up?
Well, wait a minute, let's get to it these guys before we start calling other people up.
Well, has anybody else got anything for
Well, we'll find that out.
Okay, well, let's find it out.
Any other questions of these guys?
Yes, now you are telling me that you are going to incorporate the sidewalk connecting to the old existing sidewalk and going all the way down to the Greenway walking trail.
You did not misunderstand me, Mr. Collins. It's on public record. We will extend it from where it is today, which is probably 50 feet past our current entrance to the In the Oaks Greenway.
Will they be sidewalks to match the quality of the sidewalks that are there now?
Yes, there'll be a minimum 5 foot wide. Some areas I'm wanting to have a planting strip. Some areas, because of that well house, I can't do a planting strip. I'm going to have to be adjacent to the road.
What about, there is no maximum number of, because of the institutional zoning that we have that was set up some years ago. There's no maximum anyway on cars, is there?
Maximum parking?
I mean, there's no maximum number of cars that even if we were to say there's 100 cars an hour, institutional is immune from that, correct?
I'll give you a sort of how traffic impact studies are done since we...
Well, I'm just talking about this particular property, as you've looked at it. Because, I mean, so many things in here they give, this, and then it says, but not limited to. And I feel pretty sure that when this thing was passed 10 years ago, that's unfortunately was one of the things that we really don't have. That we really can't deal with.
The town of Black Mountain, to my knowledge, does not have any ordinance that says if you generate so many trips, you have to do a traffic impact study to get approval. It's not in the ordinance. If you're connecting to a DOT road and you're having to get a DOT driveway permit, they have provisions where you have to analyze how much the traffic generation. That's usually 3,000 trips per day. We're way less than that at this time.
Any other? Okay, guys. Thank you.
I'd like to make an observation. Jess, I'm very proud of you, young man. You've come a long way since I coached you in Little League basketball. And I think I'm proud to hear you. I'm proud to see you standing up there, and I'm very proud to see how you made your presentation.
Those of you who don't know, Jess probably the leading scorer of the Montreat Cavaliers.
He was.
Thank you, Jess.
Record still holds, I believe.
Ames, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what to comment on. When Mike brought up the idea of the master plan,
It was our understanding that the master plan was for this particular subdivision. We kind of treated it sort of like a subdivision, which was the village of Montreat. That we didn't expect them to come in with a master plan for the entire university for the foreseeable future. And that's what the master plan issue was about. So I'll make that comment if there's any other.
Yeah, well, I mean, all I can do is read from the zoning material.
Right, and in order to move.
It says submittal of a master plan. The master plan shall be submitted no less than 30 days after the submittal of the conceptual plan. This time frame shall also be at least 30 days before the next regular scheduled board meeting. So,
well, what this is,
I don't know why they.
It's a process most people go through. They present a master plan and the different stages of planning for approval.
Which would be fine. I mean, that'd be great to see, but we don't have that.
Oh, no, well.
I mean, that's the thing. Montreat, I mean, because of they just don't, because of the way that it was passed.
Well, our role is to recommend a master plan. We don't approve anything. We just recommend to you for your approval.
Did you recommend to them to come with a master plan? From an overall master plan?
They understood what the process is. If they want to develop this property, they have to come with this master plan for this particular unit.
Again, so like subdivision.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept as presented.
The motion on the floor accepted as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-1. There will be comments in, after about 4 more things.
I thought we were commented during the public hearing.
That wasn't a public hearing. The acceptance of donation of 4 automatic external defibrillators from Mission Hospital Foundation. I think all this come through the auspices of Alderman Rayburn. Do you want to comment on that?
Just the foundation at Mission Hospital has a program where that they will provide automatic external defibrillators to the public. And in talking with Chief Jones, we talked about this, and it was not brought to the public's attention because we were unsure if we could even possibly get them, but we were awarded 4 of them, and they are in-house, and as I understand it, they've already been put in place. Is that correct, Martha? We're training,
Carver, Lakeview, and the golf course.
and we're training personnel now.
Okay, there's a motion to accept the thanks to donation for defibrillators from Mission Hospital Foundation and direct staff to develop a budget and program of training and education to ensure their availability and use in appropriate public facilities throughout town. You make a motion. In discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, budget amendment to replacement of total patrol vehicle.
Yes, sir. This is to replace the vehicle that was involved in the accident on I-40 a few weeks ago. That vehicle was totaled. We received $9,500 in insurance settlement, but in order to replace that vehicle, we will need a budget amendment for $18,500 from appropriated fund balance.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Communications from staff.
I have just a few announcements. You already mentioned the wonderful holiday activities. The Chamber did a great job, business to business with Holly Jolly. We've had great weather moving into the holiday season. I hope everyone enjoys some other holiday cheer. Hope you all enjoyed your first ride down the street in the parade. I'd like to report on our final stimulus project, the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act project. We have now installed an electric vehicle charging station just across the street in the public parking lot below the police station and directly across from the Chamber. We would love to encourage anybody in town with electric vehicles or tourists coming through to stop there and recharge. This is a fast charge station, so people can come and charge their car while they're having lunch and shopping downtown and be ready to go some more miles. We're part of a pilot program that will be studying the use of the stations, what the power consumption is, and so forth for the next year. And we received most of the funding for this through a grant. The public restrooms on Cherry Street, I'm pleased to announce, have been completely redone thanks to our public services staff. Jamie Matthews and more particularly Lewis Melton, who did an absolutely wonderful job of sanding and repainting all of the stalls. We have all of the hand dryers have been repaired, new toilet fixtures and so forth. So for those of you who suffered through the summer months of a deteriorating facility, I think you'll find that it's a much more pleasant place to visit now. I'd like to, is Lori still here? Yeah, Lori Williams. I wanted to report on a couple of employee development accomplishments. One of which we're very proud of is that we have hosted an AB Tech class here in this room for the last semester, and we had 10 employees who are working toward a degree participate in that class, and Lori was one of those, and I'd like her to give you a little rundown on what our employees have gone through.
Good evening, Mayor and Board, citizens. I'd just like to say we have enjoyed taking this class together as employees, and we appreciate the opportunity to do so. We all work full-time. We do it after hours. We appreciate AB Tech coming out to Black Mountain to give these classes to us. We appreciate the town providing this opportunity. We've all learned a lot so far to enhance all of our positions. Our first class has been a computer class, and I think I speak for everybody when I say we've all learned more than we ever thought we would about computers. We felt pretty confident we knew something, but we learned a lot more. It's been a great experience. Anytime you can further your education, we feel like it's very good. And we've all enjoyed it. We appreciate the opportunity. Hope to continue to be able to have classes here in Black Mountain through AB Tech. During this tough economic time, it is hard for everybody, so we feel like it's a great thing for them to offer these classes here and hope to continue to do so. So we appreciate your support in that and the towns and allowing us to have them here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness to learn.
In addition to Lori, we had our students included Ray Eberhardt, Dennis Bishop, Chris Burnett, Bobby Davis, Meredith Glenn, Stephanie Hensley, Jamie Matthews, and Steve Paget. And the instructor from AB Tech was Gene Finley. The courses that we've selected for our students are ones that are core curriculum classes for degree programs, but they're also classes that are particularly useful for our employees within the workplace. And so the computer skills class was absolutely critical. Next semester, we're going to be offering a public speaking class, and I believe we have another 10 students or so who have signed up for that. So we really appreciate your dedication. These guys worked really hard every Tuesday night from 5 to 9, got back right up and came to work the next morning. So they've done a great job. I'd also like to recognize one of our employees in Recreation Services. You all may remember Dion Lytle, who served as an intern in the administration office this summer. After he completed his internship, he was hired as a program assistant in the Recreation Services Department. He has just completed his Master of Public Administration at NC Central and graduated on Friday night. So we're really proud of him. Is he here? He didn't. I don't think he made it, or if he did, he's not here this late, but we're really proud of him as well. Let's see, I've got a couple of staffing updates I'd like to tell you about. We sadly said goodbye, but also celebrated the retirement of longtime Public Services employee Don Laws week before last, and we wish him very well in his retirement. We have hired his replacement, a fellow named Christopher Sloan, who was actually a former employee of ours back in about 2000 for several years in the Recreation Department. Since then, Christopher he's a graduate of Owen High School. He's a certified lighting professional. He has been working for the last 4 years with B.B. Barnes Landscape Company. Comes with a lot of skills. CDL knows how to work on all sorts of engines and operate all sorts of equipment. So we look forward to his joining us at the end of December. We also have a new police officer who has been hired, and she will start at the very end of the year. Her name is Letitia Nikki Guffey. She's been on our reserve. She's been a reserve officer with us, and she'll be starting full time at the end of this month. One final sad but joyful note is I need to announce the retirement of our police chief, Kevin Presley, at the end of this month. Kevin has brought a tremendous amount of professionalism to our department, has led our organization into a new era in law enforcement, and he will be greatly missed. We appreciate his service through the years, and we'll have an event or celebration of sorts that you all will be certainly invited to.
Have you had the retirement for Don Laws yet?
Yes, we did. It was November 30th, I believe. One last, I think Mary Sneed started to mention our ABC permits. We actually have more than she even mentioned. Jennifer, do you want to just give us a rundown? I think we have 7 restaurants in town that have applied or in the process of getting their permits.
We do. We actually have had 7 restaurants that have applied. Those 7 are the Blackbird Bar and Cafe, or Bar and Grill, I should say, the Black Mountain Ale House, Las Casuelas Mexican Restaurant, Ole's Guacamoles, the Black Mountain Ale House, the White Horse, and the Shovelhead Saloon. I do know that Las Casuelas has gotten their temporary permit. They're the only ones that I know of for sure that have received it, and I haven't checked the website today to see who else has gotten theirs, but they have all applied and have forwarded their paperwork to the ABC Commission in Raleigh, and from that point they will be approved at that point for their temporary permits.
Then there were a couple of items from last month that you had questions about. I'd like Dean Luby to come forward and speak to us briefly about the bank draft authorization that's now available and billing for solid waste.
Mayor and Board, it's an honor to speak to you this evening. The bank draft authorization, first of all, was an idea that Marcy, I think, mentioned to me when I was interviewing. We finally got around to it a couple months ago. We currently have about 10 residents who are using it. It's really the most simple way to pay your utility bill. You fill out a form and void a check for us, and the money is drafted from your account. on the 20th of each month or the working day right before the 20th. It costs the citizens in the town virtually nothing. I think it costs us a dime for each person that we bank draft, but it'll be a real time saver once it gets on board. People have been asking about it for some time, so it's really a win-win all the way around. With the sanitation charge, I have been in contact with the City of Asheville, and they have agreed to bill the Black Mountain customers, or the Black Mountain citizens who use Asheville water. So every 2 months, the charge will be able to show up on their accounts. I continue to work with some folks in public services and our water customer service to refine our list. Right now, we have just over 3,000 Black Mountain customers that will be charging the $6 a month to. We have about 50 folks who have wells who don't use Black Mountain or Asheville water that we've identified, and 724 Black Mountain residents who use Asheville water. So we're looking at gross revenues of close to $140,000 when we start in late January. I should also say on both of these bank drafts and the sanitation charge, the folks in the water customer service have been very helpful in getting this all done.
What is Asheville charging you to?
Well, right now I'm negotiating with that, but it's looking to be about 10% of the charge, which is fairly typical charges like this.
10% of the bill.
10% of the bill, yeah.
So that would reduce that number
from $12. Well, it'll be a $12 bill because they bill every 2 months, but it'll down to $10.80. There'll also be a one-time fee because they need to basically redesign their water bill to put a portion for Black Mountain charges. And I emailed them today, but I do not have a firm total on that. But, so we will have to make that up as well.
So this really won't bring it anywhere close to be short of the 150 that was projected by the staff.
Well, it's also possible as we refine the list, at times we add customers for both Asheville and Black Mountain because we find out that there's 2 or more residents on one water tap. So we'll be, when we locate those, that would add a charge in each case. My suspicion is it will not get up to the 150, but I think it's getting us pretty close. Any other questions?
And then, Mr. Mayor, you had asked Chief Presley to address several.
Yeah, please, Chief. Had a lot of questions about the death of the citizens of Lake Tomahawk, some of the breaking and enters we've had, and also I know downtown merchants get concerned sometimes with the holiday season, and that's really all I had.
Yes, sir. On November the 30th, we did have a loss of life here with one of our town residents. That matter is still under investigation. As reported, this was done, or the person was found over at Lake Tomahawk. Based on the initial investigation, there is no indication that there was foul play that's going to be suspected in this particular matter. However, there was an autopsy that was completed here at Mission St. Joe's, which, based on that information, again, there was no foul play indicated, but the young lady was also sent to Chapel Hill for a further autopsy, and those results in writing will not come back for about 4 to 6 months. Based on that preliminary investigation, talking with them by phone, again, we believe it's going to be natural causes. But again, the investigation will continue.
So we don't know that she drowned or she did not drown?
No, sir. That report will be 4 to 6 months out.
So Asheville couldn't determine that?
No, sir. That would be done by Chapel Hill. On the break-in question, over about a 2-month period time frame, we had about 17 reported vehicles that were broken into based on how we done the documentation and the reporting. However, none of those vehicles were there any forced entry or any damage done to the property. What it appears is that the unlocked vehicles were gone into change removed, and then there were some small items, iPods, GPS units, etc. We have made 2 arrests in those cases. We do believe that all the cases that were reported are linked back to the same individuals. And again, we made 2 arrests in that. Also in that same time period, we had 2 vehicles that were stolen. Arrests were made in both of those cases. And then we had 1 unauthorized use in that same area. And we were able to locate the individual that was involved in that. Prosecution was declined by the victim in that case. Any other questions along those lines, Mayor, that I could answer for you?
How about the home break-ins that we had? You know, had some of them in Hiwassee and.
Yes, sir. Several. Well, couple 3 months ago, we had 4 residences within our jurisdiction that were broken into. We were able to close all 4 of those cases by arrest, and that's pending litigation at this time.
What is the total number of break-ins reported for the year 2011?
That's not a question that I have the answer to tonight.
Could you please find that out, please?
Yes, sir.
And how many have been solved?
Okay. Be happy to do that for you.
All right.
Then on the last question that you had dealing with the downtown property, we continue to do walk it daily during the daylight hours for high visibility purposes to be seen by the business owners and with the visitors that come downtown in an effort to deter any issues that we may have. We continue to work the traffic issues that are downtown with the parking and just other violations. And then, of course, at night, the downtown area gets walked every night to where we check the businesses, the doors, windows, etc. We have not seen an increase over the last 5 years in any property crime or any other crime in the downtown area that we can note with calls for service.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I have one thing, the town's tennis court lawsuit. This has turned into an interesting thing over in Henderson County. We didn't get service on the registered agent for the company, who happens to also be the president of S&S Fence and Tennis Courts. Talked to the officer last week. Apparently the fellow's doing his best to dodge him. The last I talked, the officer was probably Thursday. He was setting up a bogus fence quote, see if he could catch this guy and get him served with a lawsuit.
Maybe we need to get the chief to send somebody over there to help him do it, help him show him how to do those things. Okay, thank you. Communications from Board of Aldermen. Alderman Sobel, discussion of solid waste fee.
Yes, this is an issue that a lot of people around town have talked about for months, ever since it was passed by a 3-2 vote on this board during the budget hearing. And it is not a very popular issue. I made a statement that if I by chance got back on this board, I would make a motion to get rid of this. And that is exactly what I'm planning to do right now. I'll make a motion that we dispense with the solid waste fee, period.
You need to come up with some, how we're going to offset that money which we had put in the budget.
Part of that money will come from money that we could go ahead and pull out of the planning department. That position there was just about fully funded. Also to the zoning administrator that was let go. And of course, that'll probably get us through this next year, and then of course, then we can start, as the gentleman from Ingalls said, that will probably, if Ingalls is in and using that, we very well could be getting money from Ingalls, not this year, but next January. So I think that that'll help in our budgeting for the next year, because we're fine. And so I think that will go ahead and get us on through, because we're only looking at 5 months. I think we'll be okay with that. So coming from basically the planning department.
Okay, you've heard the motion to eliminate the $6 solid waste fee, to supplement the monies that would generate would be come from the planning director and the zone administrator, those salaries. That's a motion on the floor, and then we want to discuss it.
My only discussion is that it's, when the annexed areas were taken in, one of the things that we were told that we were gonna get from the town was garbage pickup, better police protection, and,
Sanitation sewers.
You're out of order.
yep. But making a long story short, it's just, I don't think it's fair to the town that we start passing on the garbage fee. That's just one more tax that we're adding to this town, and we need to tighten our belt up and look for other ways. And I'm in agreement with Mike on this. It should never been done, and I don't want to do it.
Anyone else?
People who were annexed 20 years ago into this town were promised that they would have water and sewer. It took up until last year for that to finally happen after 20 years. Nobody wants to have taxes raised on them. Nobody wants to have additional fees raised on them. But when you look at necessities, as they are in the country today, as they are in the world today, $6 a month is thought to be a very minimal amount. And again, I go back. 20 years ago, people who were annexed were promised a certain thing, and it took 20 years for them to finally get that.
I'm not sure. Anybody else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-1. Collins, you wanted that eliminated on yours, didn't you?
Yes, I do. The information, we received that today, and I think the board needs to be able to take a longer look at it and be able to decipher that.
Okay. Alderman Raymond on the request for a straight line?
Yes, had a request for a street light up on Rainbow Lane, due to some problems that they're having up in that area. And I know that after talking with Marcy, she says that it's 384 feet or something like that, but that's a very dark section of road there that we need to put a street light up, and it's $12, is that right?
Per month. Yeah. The ordinance standard is that we put in residential areas, we normally have one street light at every intersection, and then we will put an intermediate light every 600 feet if there's not in between intersections. This particular location actually already has a street light directly across the street, and there is one at the intersection and then one 383 feet. So this particular location you're requesting does not fall within the guidelines, but I'm certainly happy to go take a look at it and see.
You say there's one directly across the street?
Yeah.
Is it out? Or?
Jennifer, check.
I don't think, Jennifer, I've been up there.
Okay.
You and I are not communicating correctly here about where it's at, obviously.
It's actually right across the street in the neighbor's yard, because I actually called Progress Energy on it with the pole number. And it is set up as a street light, and it has a light on it. And if it's out, it just needs to have a service repair called in on it.
Don't believe it. Sounds like it's already out.
You want to defer putting one up until they check it out, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
So let's defer on that to have it check it out.
Yeah.
Citizen comments?
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor. Is Brent still here? Brent Miller?
No, they left early. Oh, sorry. Okay. We look for you.
Thanks for hanging around.
No problem.
Last month, when you guys gave your presentation, I asked you about how things were at the golf course. And just reading from the notes here, in response to questions by Alderman Sobel, Alderman Showers, excuse me, Brent Miller confirmed that experience since Billy Casper's taken over has been nothing but positive, and noted the significant improvements in customer service process accountability brought by the Billy Casper Golf management team and systems. Operations at the course are going very well, and play has been consistently high during good weather. We've heard a citizen, Mr. Hudson, come up here tonight and really say some things about the golf course, about its condition, and about the play there, which really kind of contradict what you had to say last month. In an email the mayor sent out, it says basically that the golf course has been destroyed to this point. Could you elaborate on any of that?
What are you talking about?
In an email that you sent to Alderman Sobel, Alderman Raven, in response to the town manager, you made a comment that, quote, you and the three have destroyed the golf course to this point.
Yes, would you like me to go into details on
I
that?
would like to hear what he has to say.
I would have a hard time commenting on anyone else's thoughts exactly, but in my opinion, things are going good on the operations end. We're working on the shape of the golf course. You know, it's a tough time of year, so got to give it some time.
What Mr. Hudson brought up, have you noticed any of that? Do you play the golf course?
When I get a chance, I work quite a bit, so I go out and look at it.
The last time you played, was it in that kind of shape?
No, it wasn't. But I haven't played since October, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, Carlos, if you'd go over there, you wouldn't have to ask all these questions.
Well, I'm not a golfer.
As an alderman, you can tell if grass
Okay,
is
can
growing
I
or not,
Can I respond?
if you'll let me finish.
Okay, go right ahead.
And also, we're sitting over there with a building which you wanted to spend $140,000 on, totally vacant, no money being used, nobody using it. And we've got all these financial needs. We got Carver sitting over there with no insulation, $24,000 fuel oil bill.
How is that relevant to the golf course being considered as being destroyed?
Destroyed is what I'm talking. Let's see what happens when it comes this spring, and they come back and want more money.
What about the leak in that building over there?
Yeah, there's all kind of maintenance conditions going on in this town.
No, I'm talking about
Not
the
just
new
the
building
brick.
we just renovated. It's leaking.
There are lots of things, maintenance-wise, that need to be addressed in this town.
Well, you're getting off point. The
No,
guy come up here and
back
stood
to
up
the
here the
matter
other day
is-
and said, we're gonna come back to you for more money come
The
spring.
fact of the matter is, when there are
You
comments
kicked
being
this
put
can
out
too
there,
far down the road, my
when there are
friend.
comments out there that have been put out there by an elected official and saying that the golf course has been destroyed, show the proof.
Are you not listening?
Go down there and show the proof.
Are you not listening? Do you wanna meet me over there?
I'd be glad to.
Fine.
I'd be
Fine,
glad to.
I'll meet you there in the morning.
Who asked your pocketbook, Mr. Sobel?
Yeah. You and I.
Hey,
I'll
how
be-
about acting like a
I gotta
gentleman?
work tomorrow. Oh, please.
Can we have citizens call me at night?
Yeah.
Citizen comment.
Welcome to leave.
Do it.
I'd like to be the first one.
Okay, 3 minutes.
I'll keep to that, I promise. My name's Cheryl Milton, 202 Mountain Street. You want to speak about gentlemanly actions? I'm real sorry, but the three amigos, as I said, it's 4 now to 1. Maybe you'll get the hint and decide to leave. Maybe you'll stick your term out. I don't really know. But I think that you've acted absolutely ridiculous tonight.
That'll be a cold day.
Be hell, right? The other thing being, when you brought up the thing about a 1-year contract, does this golf thing not fall under where it was a 5-year contract? Does it not fall to say that that is illegal if we only have a 1-year contract, whether it was written in 51, 71, 91, or 01?
No.
Okay. Well, my thought is then that I guess the town's screwed for the next 5 years, correct? And as far as Alderman Showers, you asking an employee of someone else what they think of their working conditions, I highly doubt that the state of that you would have said to whoever hired you and employed you with the state of North Carolina that in fact you didn't like your working conditions, but obviously, my friend, they didn't like you. They got rid of you. Thank you.
They got rid of 126 people to be exact.
Mr. Goods.
Well, you were one of them.
A.B. Goods, 131 Fairway Drive, and I here to congratulate the new board. We're very happy with the end results. I'm just so sad to see the majority of the people in Black Mountain that I talked to said, this is so embarrassing to be on TV and see this cat fight go on. And it looks like it's gone from 3 amigos to 4 amigos, and I'm going to call on each and every one of you to think how your mama raised you and see if you conduct yourself more professionally in your future meetings. Only other point I have, I want to thank either Casper Golf or Marcy for letting the Men's Golf Association use that new room for their annual meeting. Sad part of it is, though, water was running down the wall and the paint was falling off with it. I hope that you haven't approved the contractor's final finish of that. The what they call popcorn ceiling and the drywall work across the ceiling doesn't hide anything, doesn't hide the seams. Now, we did have a big vent for the smokers where they took the smoke out in the center. Well, it's popcorn ceiling over, but there's that great big square right in the center. So if you haven't approved that contractor's final thing, I asked you not to approve it until he goes back and does the job right. Last point. The golf course recently has shown great improvement, but it hasn't been Casper Golf. It's been the guy that was up here that you were asking questions about. He is a true professional. He has done an excellent job since he has been there, and those improvements started way before Casper Golf took over. So I did tell Richard Hudson, if there is any way to get out of that contract, get out of it. Because you had a guy that was bringing it along and turning it around before Casper Golf got there. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new electees.
Anyone else? I'll get you next. You'll be the next one.
Gary Bartlett, 95 Camp Ranch Road. I just want to make sure that the board is aware of this issue regarding the street light request. First of all, to make sure the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. The street light was and has been there for 40 years. And apparently someone moved in across the street and decided they didn't like it, so they called and had it disconnected. And I've asked to have it turned back on. So to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Because it is an important issue. Just a couple of weeks ago, what Chief Presley was talking about with some of the vehicles stolen, one of the cars was stolen from that street. And it was probably as a result of, it being a targeted area because it was so dark there. Of course, the good work of the police department, Officer Tennant and Lee Ribley, it didn't last long. In about less than 24 hours, I guess, they had the cars recovered. So appreciate the time to talk and just to make sure you guys know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come up here and make your comments.
My mother's wanting me to speak on her behalf. This is Pauline Knupp. She lives at 236 Vance Avenue. She's basically directly across from where the village is wanting to be built.
Picture window.
Basically, from what I can tell, looking at the plans, the entrance is going to be smack dab across from her driveway.
My picture window.
She complains about traffic now going up and down the road, speeding, all that. I've got 2 kids, you know, I've got a sister getting married, she's going to eventually have kids. There's kids that play on that road. And my husband mentioned, well, why not, you know, speed bumps or something to kind of keep that safety factor in mind, because people come around that corner, pick up speed, they go. Or they go all the way down to the end of Vance Avenue, turn around and right back up the road.
And there's no policemen around.
The policemen always kind of come by at nighttime, but, you know, never during the day. Another concern she had was with the buffer zone, with the entrance basically being right across from her house. I mean, her house is off the road a little bit, but she doesn't want all the trees cut down and the bright lights of the school shining straight at her. She's also concerned about the noise.
Curfew
You know,
at 10 o'clock at night.
you've got, you know, like lots of kids there. These are dorms, you know. People, parties, stuff like that. So noise is another concern. And what was the other thing?
Mostly when
Speed
Mr.
bump, the
DeWitt
buffer
spoke
and the
up,
driveway.
the buffers. Also, when they
Yeah.
come around that curve is where we want the speed bump. At least it'll encourage them when they come around that curve, they're gonna see somebody. Because if you walk on the road, it's a wonder they haven't hit somebody already. It's a 20-mile-per-hour thing, but yet they go 35 to 45 miles per hour, and I get mad and I yell at them. I go outside and watch them come back again and then go back again. Same car, like he's using it as a racetrack. And that gets me, you know?
Another thing
'Cause I
with
don't wanna get hit.
the traffic, a lot of the events that go on down her house,
Parking.
people right now that, where the entrance is supposed to be is where the Montreat Garden is right now. You know, and even when there's events going on at the ball field, people are parking on the sides of the street, parking in her driveway. She almost hits them. You know, she's
can't
concerned
really
too
get
about
out.
the increase in the amount of traffic.
You really
there.
can't get out, because I had to call the police one time to have the car moved. But before the police could get there, I caught the gentleman walking away from his car and asked him to move it. Because the way they were parked on both sides of the street, there's no way to get out of my driveway without hitting this car and the side of that other car, because you have to turn to get out of your driveway. And I just don't want them parking there no more, so I'm gonna put some parking signs up. But do not park here, you know, because I've had Montreat people 3 times now run over my garbage cans, damage them. I can't even get the garbage man to pick them up. They're on my back porch right now. Took the wheels, they roll over them and take the wheels off. And I knew that they did it one day because I had just left and the garbage can was standing there, and they were parking because of a ball game that was down in the park. When I came back from Shelby, garbage can was smashed to smithereens. And like I said, it's under my back porch right now because I can't get the garbage man to take it. He thought it was my garbage can that I was going to put garbage back in, but I'll have to haul it off somewhere, I don't know. But there is a problem with speeding. I'm concerned about the 100-foot barrier, like they said, the windbreaker. But I don't want lights shining in my living room at nighttime to where I don't have to turn no lights on, you know. And I've got street lights. Street lights don't bother me because they're positioned at different areas, you know. But if this is directly across, are there going to be street lights directly at that entrance to shine into my living room to where I won't even have to have a light on at all? Or
Her
or
living
what?
room faces directly towards the road, and she's got
Yeah.
a huge picture window, so, you know, the
Very
the
easy.
concern is with the
Yeah.
light with that as well, too.
The lights from the parking,
And
lots, what I'm
I didn't
concerned about.
find out about this
I
until
didn't either.
somebody who, the grandmother is, her grandson is in Scouts with my son. She's
Mhm.
like, oh, hey, have you been talking to your mom about this thing with Montreat and how the map is going to look? And I couldn't even find anything, you know, and I finally had to come up here and get a map and then say, okay, Mom, this is what it's looking like. And she's just like, she's taking it out all on me because I'm the daughter, and I'm like, don't fuss at me. Take it to the people.
I'm
that
mostly
can,
concerned, too, is that if they knew this 5 years ago, I would have never bought the house. Because Montreat had looked at the house and decided they didn't want it. And I lived just a short distance down the road, renting. And I thought, well, they're not taking interest in it, so I'll buy it. If they knew that back then, why didn't they let people know before I bought the house. If they were going to build something across from me, destroying my peace and quiet, and that's the only reason I bought it, because I had the woods in front of me, and I knew I could have peace and quiet sitting on my porch and enjoy my old age, you know? But I just wanted to be sure that they were going to keep the 100-foot barrier up, 100 feet of trees, the way Mr. DeWitt said when he came by, and also that I won't see those ugly buildings. I don't want them looking in at me, and I certainly don't want to see them walking in front of their windows, you know, at nighttime. And that's what I was concerned with. And they didn't give us a chance to ask questions earlier, so that's why I'm up here now. I just want to know if they're going to keep the curfew in effect after 10 o'clock. Is there going to be any noises with cars starting up, going in and out where I can't sleep? And the playground I don't think will bother me because it's supposed to be beyond the trees, further up around the curve. But mainly the main entrance with all those lights shining in the picture window, you know, even through your curtains, you know. And I just wanted to make sure that it's, you know, not going to be like that. So bright that it lights up my house inside.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. We'll see about putting some speed bumps up. I think we'll probably do that. But you need to talk with...
Directly around the curve, because that's where he always does that. Seems like every summer he's doing that. And he just goes to the curve, backs up, takes off, and goes again.
Okay, you've had 8 minutes. Anyone else? Wait a minute. I already recognized her. I'll get you next.
You signed up first, that's okay. That's
What? You,
age before me, I'll let her go first, okay?
go ahead. I didn't know you were going to make... I thought after that long speech before, you wasn't going to make another one.
No, that was while I was a board member. This is citizens' comments. That's right.
There you go. Thank you. Lisa Milton, 406 West State Street. I'm here to ask in hopes that the board will talk with the planning board and look at maybe some preventive medicine. These people feel disenfranchised. They feel they don't count. They feel they were left out of a process, and it's much easier to be amenable, to get along, when you feel you're included in a process. You can maybe feel that you understand what they're doing. Your wishes can be looked at as if they matter. So one of the things I talked to Elizabeth Teague about when they were writing the new land use code was the fact that we need to make developing in this town open to everyone. That's not only the people who are doing the developing, but it is the people that surround the development. And one of the ways of doing that would be to incorporate the cost of notification to surrounding landowners within the process, to say, if you want to develop in this town, there is a cost, and that cost is to notify the neighbors. Jerry Atkins stood out there, and if his blood pressure doesn't cause him to stroke out, it'll be a miracle. He left in utter frustration because he said, I didn't get to speak. There's no point speaking now because the vote is done. We don't want our citizens to feel that way, and I think there's a simple way of alleviating that. They spoke to the issue of the buffer. They don't even get 100 feet of trees to buffer them from this development because the buffer is using the right-of-way and the road. So that takes a strip of trees out from these people. And it isn't fair to say, I see the trees and I'm buying the lot. When you don't own the trees, you can't control the trees. And that's their property and their right to develop it. But when you feel like you are included in a process, I think it can come out with a much better outcome for everybody. And I would hope that the board would see if we can't seek some resolution so that in the future, people do feel that they're part of a process, not excluded from a process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for putting age before beauty. I'm glad I can now speak, not when we're talking about beauty. First, I want to express my sincere regrets that we are losing one of the finest police chiefs that I have ever met, ever had the pleasure of knowing. I wish you well, Chief Presley. I hope you will enjoy your retirement for a long time to come, but it is a big loss to the town to lose you. To elaborate a bit on what Alderman Showers said, and for the benefit of those of you who were not in the agenda room, I think what he was trying to explain to you is sort of the scenario of what happened in the agenda room where you were not. First of all, Alderman Sobel had felt that the old board should not conduct old business, that we should not approve the old minutes. And so Carlos asked, Alderman Showers asked that it be put back on. It had been put under new business because of that. Alderman Showers requested that it go back on old business for the old board, the outgoing board, who had had dealings with this, to vote on it. Then Alderman Rayburn asked, if the old board voted for something tonight, could a new board undo that vote? And that's just a little bit of background into the email that Marcy then sent to the mayor and to the board, explaining that in the past, the old boards, the outgoing boards, had voted on those things. So it was left that way. The request by Alderman Sobel that we not be allowed to do this then brought a very sarcastic email from the mayor to Marcy. And all emails are public, so they're open to the public anytime you care to go read them. And of course, if you care, I have a copy of it. But unfortunately, this is what he said, and I want you to understand a little bit of what the frustrations of Alderman Showers. The very sarcastic email to Marcy said about letting the old board vote on the golf equipment contract, which is what this was all about. The mayor says, I think that's a great idea. You and the three have destroyed the golf course to this point. Why not drive, he says this to Marcy, to our professional town manager, why not drive one final nail as they sail into the sunset? If Alderman Showers is one of the three that you refer to, Carl, he would not be riding off into the sunset, and neither will I. All of this reminds me of something I once read. A person's character is like a fence. It cannot be strengthened by whitewash. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Ecclesiastes says there's a time to be silent. Anyone else? If not, I'll take a motion that we go into closed session.
After a quick break.
Give you 5 minutes.
Okay, make a motion to go in closed session.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Welcome to the real world.
I have to go. I'll run down, yes, I'll call him tomorrow. He's working on Friday. I got my mom down. Burger my saddle.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, this
We ain't go over and straighten them people out. We're supposed to be the ambassador. Just trying. Here we are, all in faith. I mean, some was just mad at Montreal forever. Good move. Come on, pat them people on the back. Tell them you love them. Just turn the lights off.
Substance abuse recovery center, or recovering alcoholics, recovering addicts.
Similar to first.
Yeah, like the first. So we're a much bigger operation. We have offices in Greensboro, but they got me to open up a residential program in Asheville. We have an ABCCM shelter. I've been working to get that opened up. It's been a job. October 10th. This city got